seconds left. It's going to come down.
Favor making a third as he looks up. He finds the drop.
Stunning here from On to series number 2, again to decide who will make it into playoffs. I'm Lynx, joined by Crow this time. Again, you call. Benny can't do the late games because he has a real job. Can't
What a
believe some
loser.
people. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. But Harrison, you casted Gunner. You finally made it. You made it to the big leagues.
I finally get to do it.
Casting
I get to cast Sean Gunner Potteroff. Can't believe that guy. I introduced that guy to restaurant ramen, and it was mediocre ramen, and he thought it was the best thing ever. So, Gunner has a penchant for winning when I cast him. We'll see if he continues that trend, but of course...
okay, hold on, pause. He wins in general, even when you're not casting. I can't even let that one stand. Shut up.
But the only times I've seen him lose were when I wasn't casting him. Because he has lost before. And
sure, why not?
The team he's got to go through today is another Challenger League team. Now, he's already beaten one Challenger League team. They took down Investigation File 2-0. And IF made it pretty far into the playoffs. KARN & Co. did not make CL playoffs at all. Now, they were able to take down Okami, but Okami are actually in relegations for Group A. So, you know, do Team Mystic have the advantage here? Because IF's pedigree is a little bit better than KARN's.
Yeah, and that's actually something if we want to start delving into the teams, if we want to, that we can touch on, at least for Mystic, once we start talking about them. In fact, I will. I've decided that we will. So, KARN & Co., as I mentioned. I mean, Harris. Man, I had a whole flow lined up. I had everything, and he just rips it away from me. Like, man, my bad. My fault. But anyway, Harrison, as I was mentioning, IF are, a little bit better team, statistically, results-wise, compared to KARN & Co. But more importantly, they're of a similar playstyle, more structured, not as aggressive as compared to other teams, say like PB, who tend to be a little bit more fast and loose with their playstyle. And Mystic had a pretty breezy win against them, as I said. Now they're playing against KARN & Co., who, again, are similar, with worse results. This is looking like a good matchup in theory. If they can just keep catching them off guard, putting problems in that structure, just like they did against IF, I'm going to be honest, this should be a fairly, maybe not quick one, but not a difficult one for Mystic. If they can just replicate what they did last week.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be quick, but I think, like you said, if Mystic play their game and keep the surprise game, keep that super aggressive game, really put the pressure on, it should be straightforward. Now, if we want to talk about their opponents, KARN & Co., and what they have to do to make sure they don't get run over. I just noticed, that's the first time I've seen their logo. That's pretty funny. But these guys are ex-Livid. Now, KARN & Co., they were an invited team. They beat Okami 2-1. They consist of Sonar, Whitlock, Xeno, Carnage B, and Mikey. They've got one roster change from the previous stage of CL. Indy left the team, and they now have Sonar, who was previously the IGL for Okami themselves, and previously was the flank watch secondary support for Parabellum. So he brings a wealth of experience with him, and we're already seeing the fruits of his labor. I mean, they were able to take the win over Okami. He not only, coming with knowledge from his previous team, but also bring a little bit more solidarity to KARN & Co. The big thing that I'm going to focus on this match is the aggressiveness and the fragging. Because if KARN & Co. play that slow game, they might get run over, because Team Mystic thrive in that kind of environment. If you let Team Mystic play the aggro game, they're going to run over you. KARN & Co. have not dealt well with aggressive teams in the past because their firepower tends to be kind of inconsistent. So if we want them to be a good matchup for Mystic, we're going to need to see what we saw in week 1 against Okami and have people like Mikey, people like Whitlock and Xeno pop off.
I mean, if there was anybody who portrayed the archetype of the aggressive fragger, it was Mikey, just not when he was on Livid, just when he was on Lenny GG before that. So if we can see him channel that, Mystic will certainly have a powerful foe to face on the field.
Small tower Oregon rotate. Remember that play?
Vaguely. Not as well as you do, but I do have an idea. But anyway, again, to cut right to the chase, check out the details. Let's see where we're going today, Harrison. Because I know after
Chalet?
Clubhouse, Villa, and Chalet, which was nice, we're going to have only one repeat map from earlier today. Coastline to start out. That is very nice. I like that quite a bit. Cafe to end things off. That's a new map. So we'll have a guaranteed repeat, but starting out on Coast, I mean, not to be mean, But just based on how Karn and Co. plays and how sometimes these players have performed historically against aggressive teams, I feel like Coastline is not a guaranteed win, but in all likelihood one that will probably make Mystic go 1-0.
Yeah, you said how we like the Coastline, and I'm sure Mystic do very much so. I mean, same thing with Surf, right? Both those teams play very aggressively. They're the T3 demons, right? They got all the fraggers on their team. Even the support players can pop off. And a map like Coastline is the perfect playing ground for a team like Mystic, especially against KARN and Co., who play sort of that more methodical game, who, you know, of course, we haven't seen too much with Sonar, but while they still had Indy, sometimes don't deal too well with these hyper-aggressive teams. And wow, we are Mystic across the board. Carter, our prediction percentage has dropped significantly because
we were 7 and 8 last week. We were 7 out of 8 for correct game predictions.
Now we're 7 out of.
And now I'm 0 for
10.
3 so far. So wait, yeah, 7 out of 10. That's basically just what you said.
Well, no, because then we'd be at 70%.
Well, I know, but I'm saying I'm 0 for 3 this week.
Oh.
But I got 7 out of 8 last week. So wait, no,
So we're at 7 out of 11.
7 out of 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're 64%. So if it were 7 out of 10, it'd be 70.
Yes.
That was probably one of the dumber moments we've had on broadcast. So I hope we can move past that pretty quickly. Or at least for me.
Yeah, I thought when you said 7 out of 8, you were including the games from today, and I was like,
no,
that doesn't work like that.
Because we were 7 out of 8 last week, then 0 and 3. Why am I still talking about this? So,
I don't know.
Anyway. But yeah,
dude,
we've
even
not had a good
Ty
time.
voted Mystic. That's how you know we're pretty confident. Ty wasn't even or Ty thinks Mystic is the underdog.
Or I was about to say, or is it because Ty voted Mystic that we should be worried?
That could also be it.
Think about it that way.
No,
not to disparage Ty, who's listening to us right now.
He just came working from the NAL finals, bro. Maybe he was tired.
Ty sorry. That was a bad one. Sorry. I can feel you staring at me, and you're not even looking at me.
I'm
sorry.
Anyways, like a me level pun.
No, that was worse. That was far worse.
Yeah, that was worse.
But Coastline, starting out. I mean, again, as I mentioned it earlier, Harrison, this is looking like it should be a very, very solid map for Mystic to start out on. I'd say that one was better than mine.
Yes.
I'd say obviously it's a pun, so the initial reaction leaves a sour taste in my mouth, but I think that was a better one. Made more sense on face value. But Mystic starting out on Coastline, I mean, do you think KARN and Co. has a shot? It's just, I'm looking at both the team they're matching up against and the map they're playing on, and there is just so much of a stylistic incongruence going on right now that I just don't know.
Ooh, incongruence is a good word.
It is a good word.
Like
Do you like it?
Incongruence, yeah.
Made sense.
It does make sense. It's a synonym for dichotomy. Another good word. And I think the key for KARN and Co. is going to be not necessarily to play a similarly aggressive game, but to be able to control it, to be ready for it. Mystic are going to be running at you. I mean, it's
anybody with half a brain can say that.
Death, taxes, and Mystic ratting and being aggressive. I mean, so that's another thing, right? They're going to be aggressive. They're going to rat. How many times have we seen Gunner in prep phase as like visual or something, just sitting under a desk?
Hey,
right?
Sometimes Mozzie.
And he'll just be chilling under a desk, in a corner, behind a chair, wherever the hell he feels like sitting for pretty much the remainder of the round until he gets droned or gets a freebie. KARN and Co. have to be ready for that stuff. If they're ready for it and they can catch Mystic. Now, of course, that is probably also going to rely on them winning their fights, because when a Mystic member starts getting pinched, they're going to start swinging. KARN and Co., if they can control that aggression, they have a pretty decent chance. My concern is sometimes what Mystic like to do, right, is they get super aggro, and they get, 1 or 2 picks, maybe they get traded, whatever, and then they peel back, right? And then once the execute comes, Mystic push back out. Because the attackers are like, all right, they're anchoring. They're just going to chill. They're playing passive, waiting for us to push. And Mystic are like, no, we're not going to let you set up. As you start opening these walls, as you start dumping in your utility, as you start clearing these positions, we are just going to leave said positions and peek you. And more often than not, it works.
especially with the mechanical talent on this roster. I feel like both this and Surf, out of all the T3 teams, I wouldn't say, T3 teams you ever had. Obviously, I'm speaking to, predecessors like OB and predecessors like, Aerial Rise that we mentioned earlier, who won CCS and RSA. Obviously, there's a lot more teams that I would say are well-rounded, pretty unimpeachable, or unimpeachable for like this level. But I don't know, in terms of the lineup, Mystic and Surf, at least for me, Harrison, at least in my time casting the amateur scene, one of the more mechanically stacked group of 2 rosters that I've ever seen personally. So when they're coming at you with that playstyle, it's hard to counter no matter what you do, especially because Gunner, I believe one thing I thought of, last week against IF, in the very few times they had success on Bank, was when they tried to directly confront the entry by Mystic on that map. But the issue is here, if KARN are going to do that, who not only don't have as good a history of doing that, also don't even do it as frequently as IF do, who they don't even do it too frequently. It just seems like even if they have the right idea, can they make it work? Because everyone on Mystic is just too damn good.
Yeah. As you bring up the point about Mystic and Surf too. And what's really interesting about these 2 teams is, despite being relatively young T3 teams and, having all 5 members being incredible gunners, blah, 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 there's still very distinct stylistic differences between the 2, right? Mystic play very ratty, Surf play very, hey, I'm roaming, try and kill me. So there's still very distinct differences between Mystic and Surf. It's not like, you've seen Surf play, you've seen Mystic play. Highly recommend watching both of these teams play all their games. But op bans are coming in. Coastline, fortunately for us, tends to be okay.
Wow, okay.
I was literally just about to make a point about the Coastline bans tending to be a lot more varied than other maps, and Mystic hits us with a Thatcher.
Bro, there just ain't no way.
KARN hits us with a Hibana.
We got hit with the Clubhouse
bans. Is literally next, bro. It's next.
The Valk ban at least makes sense for Coastline, but like,
yeah, but we're gonna literally have the exact same bans.
Bro, can you imagine if we have a Mira ban up next? Can you actually imagine? I would lose my mind if we just get the club bans on Coastline. You and I's favorite map. It's pretty default
These bans better be different next map. When we play Clubhouse, when we actually play Club, these better be different.
I better see a mute, Castle, Thermite, Yana ban.
Yeah. That'd be kind of cool.
I literally just came with those off the top of my head. I'm not gonna lie, I got mute Castle and started struggling.
I could hear it.
Can you tell by what I went to go say the last bit? I went.
Yeah, you paused. I could tell. But first site, Carter, is going to be Kitchen, and already we have a very interesting pick. We have Newers on the Oryx. Now, if you're going to be running an Oryx, Coastline is one of the maps to do it on. The defender's rotatability has been slightly increased thanks to the map buff. Of course, Skylight no longer being, or up in Courtyard no longer being a pivotal hold for the attackers, where they can just sit someone up there for literally the entire round and cut off everything on the top floor. You can't do that anymore. So your rotatability, a little bit more freed up. And of course, with that Oryx, you can do things like Kool-Aid Man through walls, jump up hatches, as well as have a really, really good primary weapon and all that jazz. And Newers, of course, we saw in Gunner's interview, right? He believes that with a little more time and a little more practice and training, he believes Newers could become Pro League ready. And I've seen this kid be pretty damn nasty, so I'm expecting big things in round 1 from him if he's picking Oryx. He's also got Barb in his pocket. Not good.
Pro League ready. Or almost.
Wow, Tones just got smoked. A good night, and his name is for him.
We know Tones ain't PL ready after that one. No, I'm just kidding.
Smoked.
Yeah, Tones unfortunately smoked off the face of the earth after that one, losing the Wamai as well. Not as important, but always losing the opportunity cost of peeking versus getting those magnets. Something you're going to have to deal with. But yes, you actually saw an Oryx jump up a hatch.
And not die immediately.
And not get smoked immediately. Actually, funny enough though, right as he jumps up, everyone on the defense runs through in office inside of security. So the very area he vacated, now where the attack is, he can sit inside of Aqua waiting, but they know his exact position. So he drops, he's a dead man.
He's got yellow ping. Xeno will probably sit there until he gets the call to move, but Doc does find Mikey, so it's a late trade on Tones. You lose Wamai, who's a pretty big utility pick, but so's the Iana. So I would consider that a pretty even trade, but Newers now hears the air jabs going out from the Nomad. She's visioned over by Vase. They still have the pings on him. There is hard intel on this Oryx, and wow, Sonar is just going to try and spam through the wall. He'll light Newers down to half HP, and the Oryx will start to dash away. Now, I don't think there's anyone in the security watching the hatch directly, so Xeno can't quite get a line of sight on the Oryx, I don't think. Or at least, no. It doesn't look like Newers is going to be dropping the hatch at all. Sweater and Doc are also still far and away from the site. Gunner is alone on kitchen. Wow, okay, I literally just realized that the person on smoke is Gunner. That's a little bit odd. But as Sweater dies in Sunrise, it is even more control for this attack. Remember I talked about controlling the aggression? It seems as KARN and Co. have done it by waiting outside and having info. Plenty of it, in fact. They now lead by one man. Going into the last 50 seconds, they're looking pretty good to take round one.
We got plenty of rotations in between the side as well. Xeno will wisely give the diffuser to KARN because I'd rather have Xeno with his gun up than with the bomb on the floor. That's just me personally speaking. You might have different tastes. Plus, yeah, F2 as well. Might as well have him on the coverage instead. One player I'm looking at here, of course, Gunner on the smoke can always provide some intel. But I am right now looking at Newers inside the main lobby. Wow, Sonar just cannot believe he killed Doc there. Thankfully, Gunner gets a two-piece, right? As two players push into the kitchen doorway. Maybe with a little bit lackluster control there, but Xeno in courtyard can shut him down. But now Newers, that player I told you to watch out for, inside of main lobby, he went unread. Now Sonar is the only one left. Newers in that very position, rotating into courtyard. After a two-piece, wins round number 1 for Mystic.
And that was really down to Gunner's position and never clearing Newers. Despite having precise info on him, sure, they were able to force the Oryx back, but in all honesty, I really think Newers should have been a freebie. They had so much info on the top floor. They knew Newers was alone. There was nowhere for him to go. Now, I don't know if KARN and Co. just decided, hey, it's an Oryx upstairs. I mean, we don't really need to do anything about him because we're not pushing from that side and we have air jab set up. Or KARN and Co. were scared. Now, I don't want to go outright and say, you know, a Challenger League team was scared of clearing a single guy, so I'm going to default to the former option. But either way, it ended up costing them. That and the positioning from the last 4 attackers. You had 3 attempting to push over from the Sunrise side. And sure, Sonar was able to get his freebie, right? Over by where, I guess the service window, we call that now? That used to be jail. I guess we'll call it the server window now. He got his freebie on the server window. Doc got demolished. But in getting his freebie, and because there were 3 attackers pushing kitchen, there was no one on the kitchen window, a pretty default spot most people sit. So Gunner's allowed to sit in the corner, best shotgun in the game out, and cut down anyone trying to push through that doorway, through that bottleneck. It was easy for the smoke, as easy as it comes. And sure, Xeno got the refrag, but there's Newers, again, never cleared, sitting in courtyard with those feet holes opened up earlier in the round that KARN and Co. could do nothing about. So while KARN and Co. did, I think, a great job of controlling the early round aggression, again, it's that sight hold from Mystic and the late round pushback that caught the attack off guard.
Now it appears that Gunner's been unshackled off of smoke, that it's going to be a little bit more difficult to control that offside presence because there's a bit more loose last time, but now it might be a little bit more concentrated. But then again, as I say it, this is also Mystic we're talking about. They weren't associated with, you know, the structured defenses. They were associated with some ratty plays. Newer still sticking with that Oryx, wanting to move fast and shoot well. Gunner likely the same too if he wants to rotate over to Penthouse and Theater, maybe play inside of 90. Mystic have plenty of options to sort of dictate the pace, but Whitlock's landing shots like that can perfectly read into Newers, just sticking his face in the small little slit between the bar and the wall behind it. Pretty easy opening duel to win.
I just realized. This is, Gunner, Whitlock, and Xeno used to team together on Mystic.
They did.
And they actually won a season of SCS. So this is Gunner up against Xeno and Whitlock. We kind of a little grudge match going on between the 3. And speaking of Gunner, the man himself, he will kill Whitlock for the late refrag. So you lose Oryx, but for a sledge? That's a win in my book for the defense. So well done to Gunner getting that kill through a very slim angle through the floor. Of course, there are ADSs, so the attack... Well, I was going to say the attack has to worry about that before they go on utility clearing, but I guess the Banshee was free. A nade goes out. It does not do any damage, but Doc is still downed in the process nonetheless. Both he and Sweater are on the floor. Tones and Gunner now effectively in a 2v3. Make it a 1v3, but Gunner is at least able to recover the alibi on Cool Vibe. So back to a 2v3, though. Now that he's taken some shots, both he and Sweater are extremely lit up.
Still could win this based on the positioning, but Gunner unfortunately misses shots in one of the players' entries, and Sonar both at the doorway and one on the big window repel. This is difficult to navigate through all this coverage. Sweater thankfully successfully lands the trade, but it gives enough time for KARN to get the diffuser down, the attackers to rotate out, and Doc to slowly bleed out inside the site, leaving Sweater all alone to make this happen. He'll try to rotate to luggage, likely a good decision. Isolate a 1v1, but even then, the players have already rotated out, one even moving behind the Aqua Bar, making it a bit of a difficult gunfight for the Alibi to win. Combined with Mikey creating a crossfire inside of Aquarium, KARN & Co. a very expertly and coordinated, well done second round.
Yeah, that it looked like Mystic got a little bit too big for their britches. Newers overpeaked and died. Doc peaked to the big window repel player. I don't know how Sweater got down. Sweater got down, whatever. And from there, after those initial picks, or I guess downs, you could call it, from KARN & Co., they had so much space to work with. And they established so many crossfires. I mean, you saw when Gunner was trying to retake, both Gunner and Sweater were trying to retake, there was really nowhere by the hookah side of things that they could go safely. Gunner was watching the doorway. He had to watch out for big window. He had to watch out for perhaps even an angle from hookah window. There was so much for the defenders to worry about. The attackers took control of because of the space they were afforded by the defenders' over-aggression. So well done to KARN & Co. this time, able to, again, stem the early round aggression, but take enough of an advantage that the late round pushback didn't really matter or was too weak to matter.
On Blue Bar and Sunrise specifically, that early round aggression could be the name of the game here. Of course, just holding all directly onto the site is not something that any team would likely be advisable in doing. You're going to need some players hanging out upstairs to deny that vertical, whether it be pressure, just overall, just trying to stop them from moving into the map, or directly holding and trying to contest hookah, billiards, aquarium, what have you. You're going to need to have some sort of presence on that top floor, so Mystic can't be getting ahead of themselves, giving themselves to early gunfights like Newers did, because the moment that top floor falls, and if a couple bodies fall with it, KARN & Co. already have pretty much everything they need to make a Sunrise or a Blue Bar plan happen, no matter what. Right now, there's one player, Sweater, alone inside of main lobby, but he can quickly rotate back, and in a perfectly fine position to rotate back successfully, of course, unless he's cut off by that player outside the kitchen window. Have not seen it yet, so he can continue sitting inside pretty much with impunity. And with that Flores as well, moving over to Mudroom, KARN can clear out any shields around that area. Anybody playing close, like Gunner, maybe playing close in that Mudroom door, can push him back further as well. It's very spread out from Mystic right now. Still concentrated over towards Blue Bar and Sunrise, but a lot of bodies spread in different parts of the map.
Dude, Gunner on smoke is still so, like, surreal to me.
It's Gunner. He usually just plays whatever he wants.
I remember when he was playing Mav. I was like, wow, Gunner's on Maverick? And someone said to me in chat, he was like, I mean, yeah, who the hell else on this team is going to play it? And I was like, yeah, you know what? That's a good point. Though I do know Tones is a decent smoke. So, I don't know. Maybe Gunners, they'd rather have the diss than the smoke. I don't know. Either way, we are nearly a minute down, and KARN & Co. have been relatively uncontested thus far. This is a completely horizontal extension from the defense, and getting pings through the floor. Xeno nearly finding some shots onto the player below him. I believe that was Doc on the Malusi, but ends up not connecting with anything, so it's kind of whatever. But we do now know that KARN & Co. have some decent info on the bottom floor. But do they know about Gunner? Yet again, ratting in a position, hoping to play the surprise game. Hiding out in Mudroom. Player will now go to his left. He has been droned out. Unfortunately for him, unfortunately for the Flores of KARN, he had his pistol out. So unable to capitalize, Gunner gets away scot-free. And, I mean, it's still a 5v5, but there's 50 seconds left. Gunner will get lit up as he gets a little bit too over-aggressive and gets caught by a nade. So just as I mentioned the man count, it will dwindle by 1. Mikey gets the opening pick, but still, Karnico are going to be pressed for time pretty soon, though it is a relief that they don't have to deal with those gas anymore.
Gunnar basically in a box at that point, barely any room for him to move. But here's the issue. Sure, you don't have that player playing close, but you have all these angles on long who can maybe take down the coverage. The first one falls, but Zeno on Cool Vibe stairs while he falls soon after, making it evened up 3v3. This is where Karnico thrive in the post plane, even with the man disadvantage. Whitlock upstairs and Sonar across the map can contest some angles that Mystic might not be expecting, but Whitlock unfortunately misses a hell of a lot of shots, and there's too many bodies to deal with. Could have evened it up right there, but because of those whiff shots, it's all up to Sonar. Again, unread inside of main lobby. He's able to find one, but he has to back off. Not enough ammo to deal with these remaining two players, and he can't get aggressive until he starts getting baited out. Now he's got to rotate through, but with one player holding up above, there's nothing he can do as he can't react in time. Mystic, after evening it up 1-1, take the lead once again.
Man. Again, the late round pushback. KARN & Co. got the opening frag on the Gunner. There were no smokes to worry about. They even got a kill on the coverage thanks to Zeno. But the trade game was played by Mystic. Again, that pushback. You had Newers land a beautiful shot all the way from Blue Bar into mud. That is a massive pick because that means without the mudroom coverage, your planter is stuck there. Once the defenders kill your Cool Vibes player as well, Zeno, once he's dead, I mean, where's Carnage going to go? He's dead to rights. He's stuck behind the bomb chassis. You saw he tried to peek out and make his way out the mudroom door and got slapped. So down he went. So you're left with Sonar, who is left unchecked, kind of creeping up the kitchen hallway, and Whitlock, who's up above. Whitlock had the perfect position for that post plant, and then decided to whiff his entire mag. So a little bit unfortunate. If Whitlock had gone 1 for 1, maybe that would have worked out. But either way, Whitlock dying and Sonar being the last man downstairs was pretty much just... I mean, that round was over. You forfeit the top floor control of the defense. The only way Sonar can go through in time is through the double door, which is watched from the angles from above, created by the Sledge himself. Well done to Mystic. Well played. 2-1 now. I mean, there's still time for KARN & Co. to come back. I mean, we could even see an even coastline. We've had them before, but another, I guess I would say, out-of-meta pick is Tones has swapped off of Omai, now onto Legion. So we've got both T5s in play.
But again, that's the nice thing about Coastline, which is why you and I were so disappointed by the bans, is you can have some of these quote-unquote off-meta picks, because Coastline, as long as you can shoot well, you can afford a hit in the utility department or so, even if it's like an operator like Wamai, who might bring some very useful utility. If you can frag better and it's still some useful utility you can work around, it's not just completely useless, it can certainly work out. Newers might not be having, you know, the best time on the Orc so far. Not terrible by any means. Certainly not as good as Tones, I believe. Who got that? No, I believe that was Whitlock or Sweater. Sorry, I got that opening pick. Excuse me. I'm so focused on Newers contesting and contemplating whether or not he should take a fight with Mikey, and instead he'll think otherwise. He'll rotate back off, move back through security. Meanwhile, Tones, the only one upstairs.
What? Mikey! No! Oh, no.
I actually don't think... I'm not joking. I think it's the first time I've actually seen a Rotero drone kill someone.
Okay.
Well, it really just collapsed after that one, didn't it?
I don't want to talk about this round.
Wow, there were 3 people shooting at him.
Yeah, it really just all spun out of control after that, didn't it?
That was a kitchen defense.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it was a kitchen defense, but
I actually have seen a Rotero drone kill someone in comp play before. Fun fact. It was one of those situations where like they couldn't move anyway, so they just kind of accepted their fate. But Mikey tried to do the thing. Kind of like what you see with sometimes like a thermite breach rush, right? Like you see the thing go down and you're trying to time your sprint through the wall with the explosion. And, well, Mikey thought it was faster than it was. He also forgot that the backblast from a Rotero drone is a much, much bigger radius than a thermite charge. You cannot get close to that. I mean, trying to rush through that breach is not going to be nearly as quick as a breaching charge or an exothermic charge. And then it looked like the play from KARN & Co., right, was they really wanted to clear Sunrise. So they have someone, positioned over in Blue Bar. You have someone on the blue window. You have Mikey trying to rush through the wall and take those defenders off guard with the Apertero drone. You have someone simultaneously pinching over towards Mud, and everything was going to collapse at once. And then Mikey died. And KARN and Co. seemed like they were just too dedicated on the push to stop. And it just, well, you saw what happened. It was really sad. I kind of imagine what happened. You know, like in Saving Private Ryan, or like those war movies where it like cuts to slow motion and the piano music starts playing and everyone falls one by one. That would be a perfect moment for that.
And unfortunately, to continue with the Saving Private Ryan analogy, there was no like jet bombers coming in out of nowhere to save Tom Hanks. It's just Tom Hanks got blown up by a Rotero drone. And as we all know, Mikey is very much like Tom Hanks.
Yeah?
Alright, I'm not gonna lie, after the... Please. Okay, just making sure. When I see players standing still now, I'm terrified.
Yeah. Like a visceral fight or flight reaction.
Thankfully, everyone is here. Do not need to worry. Sidasuke, as Mystic, maybe you do need to worry a little bit, Harrison. Maybe actually a little more worry would be good for them. Because it seemed they didn't worry enough, and they kind of gave their life away in some instances. Call that a transition.
Certainly. We're back on Hookah, though, right? And this is where KARN and Co. have their one attack. See if they can get two. There is a bit of a difference. Gunner is off of smoke, and he's now on Maestro. Well, okay. He was playing Jaeger for this site. Doc is now Jaeger instead of Malusi. Tones is now Malusi instead of Legion. Or Wamai. It was either Legion or Wamai. And now Gunner
on Legion before.
Is on Maestro. I couldn't remember it was Legion for this site in particular.
Oh, for this site.
Either way.
Not on this site.
People have swapped up operators. And now Mystic have a little bit more info. They have less denial, but they have more info. KARN and Co. has certainly had a lot of that. Whether or not they've actually been able to act properly off of it, though, is a different story. And now that Mystic have info of their own, well, you know, it's on the site and not on the roam. I'm sure that will still help tremendously, especially with the plethora of crossfires KARN and Co. were utilizing in the previous attempt on the site.
Well, first pick finally comes out. This time it's KARN taking down those Rotero drones to
Flores.
one extent or another for one team or another. Used to great effect. Sometimes it depends who it ends up helping. But now there's deployable shields, some of which have already been taken down. But any bulletproof utility that remains alive, like those Evil Eyes, you'll have to use some of those nades left on the board to try to take down, or work a Twitch drone inside of the site to deal with those Evil Eyes. But until you do, Intel, watching places like Aqua, can continue relay intel to the rest of the defense, watching and seeing where they're pushing, which right now, it appears that's where KARN and Co. might be going for. Mikey on the hook or the billiards window repel, two players on the Aqua balcony right now. That Evil Eye could be of vital importance if they're not able to destroy it. First nade caught by an ADS. Gunner maybe not even playing off that intel, just taking a fight. Finds Whitlock sitting outside on the balcony, and suddenly two players immediately fall at the exact same time. Xeno, the only one left. Ego peaked by Newer is cut down. Flawless round for Mystic. Move up 4-1.
So, you'd probably expect me to say, wow, Mystic won this round because they dialed back their aggression and waited for KARN and Co. to come to them. No. Mystic played it exactly like their previous Hookah defense. Really aggressively. But Carter, do you know what the one key difference between this round and round number 2 was? Sorry, round number 2 was.
Was it instead of Whitlock one-tapping Newers? Was it Mystic multi-tapping KARN?
The big difference was, in fact, that Mystic won their fights. And that's really all there is to it.
I mean, what I said was an example of what you said.
Oh, no, yeah, I was agreeing with you.
Oh, okay.
I was saying that is an example of something Mystic did that everyone on Mystic did and was successful at.
Very insecure. I need validation.
I know. It's okay. Mystic simply just swung KARN and Co. over and over again. First it was, who was it? Doc? Yeah. Doc swung KARN and got the first pick. And then Gunnar swung 2 other people. Even though he's Maestro, he decided he was going to peek Hookah Belk and then Big Window. And he won both his fights, and that's really all it comes down to. Sometimes, winning your fights is all a siege round comes down to. And, well, with Mystic, it comes down to that probably more often than we're used to.
Well, Gunnar not on smoke this time, Harrison. But he's on mute, so. But he's on mute with the MP5K. So a little bit more aggressive. Difference of a role. Newer's not on Oryx anymore. Sweater's still an alibi, because Sweater's just an alibi main at this point, I feel like. But at this moment, where Karnikov decided to enter is, in fact, the one area where Mystic don't exactly have too much presence. Doc is nearby, playing on Vase, so some holes open as well. He can certainly take some fights, whether on a long angle or a close one. There we go. Got the twitch drone. We all sometimes miss a shot. We'll take it down, but Doc is really the only person who can actively contest, and in all honesty, yeah, exactly. Nobody there to support. Rotating down after a minute, probably the best bet there. You don't want to play too aggressive with players outside of Hookah, moving in through Aqua, Office as well. It is problematic, though, because this is a blue bar Sunrise defense, and now KARN and Co have that vertical control, and there's only one C4 for the defense.
That is true. I mean, at least they have gas nades, too. So they're not completely out of options if that C4 goes to waste. Whitlock is going to have to be very careful of it if that mute decides to rotate, but never mind. He's just going to have to be careful of Newers peeking the holes. Once again, Mystic decide, I'm not going to move. I will simply fight you. Whitlock loses it, and that means the attack loses their sledge. That is your main method of soft breach, as well as nades. And now that you lost your Flores, you lose a significant bit of explosive destructibility. Xeno will at least refrag the low HP Wamai, so Newer's finally taken off the board, but at this point, most of those Wamai discs, if not all, have already been set out onto the field, and you've still got a one-man advantage over the defense, okay? All right. Gunner's going to Chad push up Cool Vibes and completely look the wrong way. He was looking up the stairs while Xeno was already on the platform. So we're back to an even 3v3, which is not great for the defense. No. What is great for the defense is the fact that, well, there's not a lot of vertical destruction that's been done. So rotatability in and out of the site is going to be a little bit easier than if Whitlock was still alive.
One problem, though, much like Gunnar in the previous round, Tones is, well, there you go, very isolated and out of utility. I actually thought he'd be more pinched out, but Sonar just takes his one and wins it. Now you've dislodged him, but he was basically a dead man. It's been an effective 2v3 for a while now, and Sweater and Doc don't seem to mind all that much. In fact, Mikey's not aware. He's not dead? How is he not dead? Huh? He got a kill after that. I just assumed that it was going to be a 1v1, but no. Sweater's got to finish it off. He whiffs the gunfight again, puts the Yana even lower, and ends up losing the fight to Sonar. I just simply have no idea how Sweater didn't kill that guy. And because he thought he did too, Mystic lost the round.
What? I have never seen a team lose a round quite like that. That should have been a Mystic round.
I got it, dude. I gotta see this.
Through and through.
Dude.
I can't believe it. So, Mystic have a great early round, right? They kill the sledge. They kill the Flores. Then Gunnar kind of throws his life away and we're back to even. That's whatever. That's whatever. Tones also throws his life away. But hey, he was out of gas. He already burned a lot of time. Still not the worst thing in the world. It's not great, but it's not, you know, it's not the definitive factor of why they lost. But then, Mystic kills Xeno. Xeno was the guy on Cool Vibes, tasked with making sure that those defenders can't rotate into and through the smoke. And also, well, that's his execute position. And once the post plant comes, he goes back upstairs and plays off the holes, right? Really important. And he gets slammed. The last two defenders double peek him. Sweater rotates through the smoke. Has the perfect perfect opportunity to kill Mikey. Mikey had no goddamn clue, but he does the thing that all players have done. We've all been there. He fires a few shots into the body, and he's like, yeah, that guy's dead. But he wasn't dead.
Shots, shots 13 through 7, missed due to poor spray control kind of situation.
And the thing is, too, if Sweater had just held left click, his teammate wouldn't have died. His teammate died after Sweater peeled off. So that was just a little unfortunate.
Yeah, well, Sweater's on the entry here, or second entry, technically, I suppose. Not a role you have to land your shots, of course.
Gunner
Not that
on
necessary.
Nomad.
Gunner's really on an
Wow.
on very different ops
At
than
least
we
get him on
expected.
0, man.
I'm of course joking, by the way. Obviously, Sweater will be perfectly fine after that. We all whiff occasionally. Here though, Newers is facing a little bit of an issue. He's sort of just face checking the shield right now, and there doesn't seem to be much of an actual avenue to destroy it, because there is hard breaching for Mystic, but no real way to destroy the electric claw that's currently holding down the VIP wall. So once it's destroyed, I believe that was is that a nade from below? I do believe. Whitlock is pushed off, but he pushes up instead. Takes the head clean off of Doc, and there's one player Newers trying to capitalize, and he's immediately domed as well. Pinned to a post after that one. 3v5 easily for Whitlock. Barely even broke a sweat during that.
Here it is. Whitlock was 1-6 before that, but here is the Whitlock we know and love. Sweater does get a refrag onto Mikey, so the Jaeger is now dead, but Zeno follows it up, making sure that that kill does not remain unanswered, keeping his team in the man advantage. But as Sonar goes down, it's only by one man. Mystic are still in an okay position, but there's still 3 gas grenades for KARN. There's still a C4 for Zeno. So this round, while doable for Mystic, is still going to be really tough. It's 2 ARXs against 3 right now with 1 minute remaining, and both of these last attackers pretty separated. The Nomad attempting to come in through VIP, wading his way into the drone hole, see if there's anyone there. C4 goes out, but it's really early from Zeno, so a little bit of a waste there for that plant and owl utility. That's going to allow Sweater to pick up the diffuser, and if Gunner can cover, he might be able to get that plant down for free, but instead, Sweater drops. He's still got nades. He's got pings. This guy should be dead to rights. I'm just watching and waiting. There it is! Well played by Sweater. No more gas, and because of the missed C4, no more plant denial. Gunner's also going to hit someone with an air jab. I'm not quite sure who it was. It may have just been actually caught in a OMI disc, but as Whitlock takes out his teammate, Gunner's alone, and, well, Zeno will put an end to the round. What looked really doable for Mystic, especially after that kill from Sweater, ends up not really amounting to much.
It was nice to try to bring things back, though, but round was already pretty much done and dusted, and at least 75% of the way, primarily because of Whitlock playing in this position. You can see right there, they destroyed that shield. They destroyed Whitlock's cover. But based on the way they tried to play that, there wasn't really anybody trying to take Whitlock from a separate angle. Not that they, had a plethora of options at their disposal. You're not able to get the wall open, so you are restricted in what angles and fights you can take. But both players just opted to push one by one through that doorway. He's able to take down the first, reposition slightly, takes down the second as well. The second one, admittedly, being a nicer shot than the first, so I doubt Newers really had much time to react after that one. But it was still a position where, based by the nature of it and how Mystic were taking it, Whitlock had a very easy time getting that 2K because Mystic just pushed one by one. At that point as well, Zeno gets a kill later on. Even though they did play the trade, Whitlock had already done the damage, and KARN did what they did best. Play structured, play off each other, don't give anything away.
What if they're feeling charitable?
It's really a KARN playstyle, though, isn't it? More so, I'm not saying, they certainly lose things. They're not a team that really gives things away. Like, they might lose, but I don't know if they, throw by over-peaking, for example.
They kind of gave the round number 1 away.
I mean, well,
Wow.
I suppose.
Mystic are rocking 4 hard breach charges.
They're open in that wall now.
Yeah. You'd think, if Gunner's playing the 0, which I was begging him to play because he was on Nomad, and 0's cooler. And Gunner likes 0. You figure if he's already bringing the hard breach charges, which I refuse to call can openers, You'd have Tone switch on to smokes just for some added clear because you actually have no burn except for Zoe. You'd think he'd switch, but his sonar gets a little bit aggressive, lights up Gunner and makes him fear for his life. He's a little bit too distracted, and he'll fall to, I believe that was Sweater, the opening pick. So while Gunner and Newers are very lit up, you lose your pulse, and that's pretty big.
Also, as Xeno rotates in the main lobby, Mikey now a little bit isolated, but in fact, it might be Whitlock who could be cause for concern. Yes, exactly. I was a bit worried about Mikey's position, but, well, now I'm worried about Karniko's overall position in this round, but thankfully, ironically enough, it's Mikey who gets the first kill on the board for his team, but he's all the way inside of office. KARN is alone on the site as the attack is quickly realizing there's blood in the water, there's prey all alone by themselves. We could probably take this down, get the bomb on the floor, maybe even get a kill. KARN miraculously comes away from that despite turning his back to Sweater, fully undamaged, but now he's the only one left. Toxic canister in his pocket, but not much he can do in this position, and not much he can do with 4 bodies all trained on his position. Mystic, after that previous round, which looked not the best, this time around, not only do they dominate the early game, they dominate the middle and the end game too.
Yeah, getting that plant down definitely sealed the deal, as if the round wasn't dominant enough already. It seemed like those two early damaged players, Gunner and Newers, ended up surviving the whole round and getting kills. So they did not care. They do not care. KARN & Co. on their roam, getting a little bit aggressive, getting a little bit crazy with it. Sonar trying to get the player off the window, gets caught by a mudroom player. Sweater swings around, makes sure that the Pulse doesn't get away with that damage for free. Then Gunner, rappelling up the big window despite the low HP, gets the next kill onto Whitlock, and it seemed like the dominoes were just falling, and well, no one from KARN & Co. could pick it up except for Mikey, who got 1 kill. That was about all they could muster. Mystic is kind of pushed all from one direction in full force, and I mean, when you're staring down all 5 barrels of Mystic as like one guy with maybe one other buddy, you're probably not going to come away with that with much, or come away from that with much. So Mystic now lead 5-3. Now remember, this is their map choice, so we kind of expect them to win it. That's conventional Siege logic. KARN & Co. still have time to turn it around, but you know, even that hookah defense wasn't really all that convincing.
No, what was really convincing by KARN & Co. was Whitlock in the early round fully stopping Mystic from gaining a foothold and gaining momentum, and that has seemed to be the name of the game for the few times where Mystic has faltered and lost rounds in SCS so far, is when they can't start the round the way they want, they can't set the pace and put their plan into motion. By just letting that happen, letting them gain their control, Mystic can usually make that entry happen, whether it's taking a 1v1 or pinching you out, unless it's pushing through a doorway in which they literally line up for you. If they're even in a 50-50 or even slightly in the advantage, it's almost effectively winning the fight at that point for Mystic, it seems, on these entries. KARN & Co. might need to present a little bit more obstacles for Mystic in order to make this work, but depends. How coordinated are they on their clears? It's what we have to see. There are more roamers this go around. Whitlock getting far more aggressive than he did previously, but as he rotates down the white stairs, Doc is sitting outside of the main lobby door, waiting to see if anybody makes this exact play, either from the main stairs or the bathroom. Slowly creeping up to, anticipating maybe a fight to be taking or somebody in that position, but instead Whitlock will just rotate back up the main stairs, not keen to give his life away just yet, saving his impact for another day, but unfortunately here, he walks right into the crosshairs of Gunner and gives Mystic the opening they so desire.
I was literally just about to talk about Gunner, or sorry, not Gunner, but there really not being any engagements between the two teams, despite it being like a minute 15 in, and then we watched Whitlock rotate up and then die. Xeno's still upstairs though. He hasn't been cleared out. He'll open a punch hole and likely find a freebie, but what? What?
All right.
Doc wins that? I don't know how in the hell Doc just won that. But he did. Xeno just got freaking slammed. Tone's playing the vert, gets a kill of his own, but Carnage V finally frags back on Newers. Doc is also very low HP, so he's susceptible to either of these two players' guns. One bullet will put them down, but Carnage V is armed with just the UMP. And Sonar isn't on the site to help him. I actually have no idea where Sonar is. It looks like he's all the way over towards Office. Carnage is going to try for a surprise play in Mudroom, but he's caught by Gunner. It does not matter. And Sonar is in a 1 versus 4. Players bearing down on him from multiple directions. As the attack starts to try and take in through Mudroom, it's not going to matter. Both Sweater and, I believe that was Actually, I have no idea who that was. Sweater and Tones, I think, on Cool Vibes, have the cutoff. And now it's 6-3, map point Mystic.
Looking pretty solid on their map pick. 6-3 so far. It has been close for KARN & Co. in a couple rounds, but I feel like those round wins in and of themselves were almost the way they were won have been indicative of KARN & Co. in this match. Spurts stopping, but then starting for more prolonged periods of time. Never really able to net something together for too long before Mystic quickly take the lead back and turn things around against them. Going forward here, they now have to break with that pattern and win 3 rounds in a row, something that has so far been difficult for KARN & Co. in this match in particular. Kitchen Service will be the site next on the board for KARN & Co. See, KARN 6 picked the smoke from the Warden, and if what they're trying to go for here is something a bit more concentrated towards the site, something that maybe they can control the playstyle, as you said. We saw that a roam didn't necessarily work out as well as KARN & Co. hoped last time. Mystic were able to set things up, pinch out Whitlock, stop him before he had any impact. 2 players, as they're taking fights off the site, end up winning theirs as well. KARN & Co. might be correcting, moving something to that won't put them out of place or out of position so early on. But it's always a tough gamble with Mystic, because if you try to take those fights, their players are so good you might lose them, but if you don't take those fights, the fights they're going to take later will just be more and more in their favor.
Now we're back on Kitchen. Hookah's not unlocked, so KARN & Co. have to go back to a site that they lost, and one that they lost handedly. It was only 1 kill for the defense. I believe it was Mikey that grabbed it, and no one else from Mystic fell. Again, we have 4 hard breach charges. That's a little weird, considering the only person with burn, I guess, is Doc with smokes. I mean, you can burn with Gunner's utility, but it's not ideal. I don't see why you wouldn't just bring flashes with Buck.
Still a 5v5. We're almost to that point, Harrison, that you talked about. Not a kill had happened, and we were suddenly shocked that somehow Mystic went 1 minute and 10 seconds without killing someone. But I imagine momentarily we'll be in a position where something happens. Likely some aggression. Tones being the one right now to slowly push down Cool Vibe stairs. On Buck, not an operator. We see him all too often. But he's still playing this not all that crazily just yet. Mikey now facing some semblance of pressure. Hatch opened up above him. But he was one of the last alive previously. It was everyone inside of the site that died and ended up losing all of their positioning and their momentum. And right now, longest time we've gone without an opening duel happening. Minute 30 seconds have passed, not a single bit of damage done to any player on the board. But look at what they have. They have the player inside of Office in a position to be pinched. They have Xeno in a position to be knocked down. Sure, Mikey's rotated nearby, but there's still players outside main lobby, up above as well, who can find a position to nail him down, pinch him out, and get the opening pick. Still struggling, still waiting for some action to occur. Mystic, as they're lining up, might be in a position to fight back, but the longer the time goes on, KARN & Co. has some time to fight back as well.
I love this from KARN & Co. Like you said, they're applying the pressure, making sure that Mystic can't walk in and take fights for free. And Mikey, he'll find another one. Both Newers and Gunner dead for the price of Sonar the Oryx, and here's Xeno with another killing Doc. But Sweater's in the site. He just jumped through the window, I guess, amongst all the commotion. It sounds like KARN has no idea. He'll get his head ripped off, and though Tones is very lit up, this site control from Sweater could potentially be impactful, but look at the case. It's dropped all the way by White Stairs, but Sweater gets a wallbang kill onto Mikey. This is absolutely massive from the Iana. It's now a 2 versus 2. The nade perfectly placed will force Xeno out, and he's very separated from Whitlock. There's more spamming coming through the wall from Sweater, looking to find any damage possible, but Xeno finally puts an end to his reign of terror. A 3rd kill now, and Whitlock finishes it from Sunrise. KARN & Co. do not let it...
They got some of that early round aggression. Mystic were stalled out in their take, but still a 5v5. Come 1 minute and 15 seconds left. Something that we've hyped Mystic up so far has been their ability to get those entries early on. It's something we faulted KARN & Co. for, was sometimes not being aggressive enough in the early round that even when they were, Mystic could easily dispatch with them. This time around, minute 15 seconds left. All the focus is on main lobby. The attack desperately trying to find ground, and the defense desperately trying to not give any away as the attackers lined up outside main door and barreling down white stairs. But for once, Mystic actually didn't have as good of positioning. They had a lot of very good angles, but Xeno had already rotated back behind main lobby. With Mikey playing close, they're able to successfully play the trades in that area that even though it ends up moving down to even, because of their early round play, they've been able to waste time and for once not get caught up on Mystic's clear. Once they play coordinated, even when they lose the fights and it goes to even, they've done enough in the early round that Mystic can't find the opportunity they want to at the time that they did. And they have to go into and execute, maybe even a bit too quickly, but still not with a full plan that they want. KARN are able to take that round. I don't know how much they can replicate that. But Harrison, we might have just found our winning strategy if they can.
Again, you know, this is the point we brought up in the critical points. They're going to have to keep that up. And this firepower from KARN & Co. can sometimes be inconsistent. Can they do it 2 rounds in a row? We're back on Hookah. Now, they did win this defense. It was the first round of the brand new half, and they took this round in relative stride. We've got another swap up from Mystic. We have Newers on the Finca. What KARN & Co. were doing in the previous round, right? They were poking and prodding at the attack, just applying pressure every couple seconds, keeping them at bay and making sure Mystic can't walk in. What does Finca do? Finca doesn't necessarily allow you to walk in, but it gives you that HP boost, and it gives you the confidence. That's the important thing. That's what I love talking about with Finca, that I feel like is a very underrated portion of her gadget. It's not really how it affects, you know, your character in game. It's the psychological, right? It gives you confidence. When you're Finca boosted, you feel like you can take any fight in the world. So if that's what stumped Mystic, the Finca and that confidence boost with the nano boost might be the solution.
It might be. So to counter that point, Sweater is 16-6, and he doesn't need the adrenaline boost.
It is not.
He's doing the most without it.
Indeed.
Perhaps. There's one player currently sitting outside, well, actually inside of Sunrise, excuse me. Wasn't quite sure about which way Xeno was looking, but there might be one player inside of Sunrise at the moment. There's another player, Tones, on the buck this go-round, creating Swiss cheese out of the holes in the floors, layering both hookah and billiards. Almost used all of his skeleton key in the first half of the round, creating these angles to work from down below to put pressure, not necessarily on players like Xeno in this particular position, but still make it a lot more difficult to rotate inside of the site and give a variety of angles to play if they end up getting that bomb down. The player on Big Window as well, and pressure from Cool Vibes incoming if this C4 doesn't land, which it will not. Mystic have a lot of ground in their hands. Sonar does get the first pick on the Sweater. That's 16-6 player, now 16-7. Sure, he's taken off the board, but Mystic have been able to take that one loss and turn it into 2 gains in their favor. Willock manages to push down, but no! He misses the fight! A massive misplay by the Wamai. A whiffed gunfight. KARN, the only one left. He gets the Big Window player as he chokes the life from his teammate. But what does he have for it? He's trapped with 3 players all directly in front of him. He's got to send out a Toxic Canister that I think does a little bit of damage to Tones, but it won't stop Doc getting the bomb on the floor, and it won't stop the attackers from all retreating and playing this post-plant patiently and off of the man advantage. He has an angle onto Cool Vibes, but the player is not giving it away whatsoever. He knows it's match point, and the moment he takes the fight, the moment KARN is not looking. 7-4 for Mystic on their map pick. Not a bad showing by KARN Co. To be honest, a win we expected from Mystic, but still a good fight nonetheless.
Yeah, again, KARN & Co., their fragging potential is inconsistent. Xeno was able to get, 1 kill along with Sonar, but everything after that just kind of fell by the wayside. Whitlock whiffed his fight on Cool Vibes, gave it up to Tones, and from there the dominoes just kind of fell. Once again, Mystic were given the control they needed, they walked right in, planted, and, well, KARN was stuck in a 1v3. So, 7-4 for Mystic. Like you said, a result we probably expected. It wasn't all that close, but it wasn't dominant either. Right in the middle. Right in that sweet spot. So, depending on a clubhouse, I mean, that's, kind of more of a slower, strategic map. But, I do know, I'm pretty sure Mystic liked that map too.
I mean, again, it's a map at this point. It's an equalizer. You might be less comfortable than other teams, but it's not exactly going to be a map you're like, crap, we have to play clubhouse? You're going to be going into it like, could have better options, but it's not the worst thing in the world. As you said, obviously it's Karnico's map pick. They picked it. They're going to be feeling comfortable. And it's a map that does cater, at least comparatively speaking, more to their strengths than Coastline. But I would even say more so than, say, other maps in the pool. For example, Oregon, it's a lot slower of a map. That's a map Karnico certainly do like and have played repeatedly in the past. So do I think they stand a better shot on Clubhouse? Sure. In fact, if they can actually make a little bit more consistent what we saw on Coastline, I don't think it's improbable that they even win that map in all potential. But the issue is making the inconsistencies that have been apparent in their roster in this map and over the past few months, less so in map number 2. Is it possible, Harrison? Perhaps. But we'll just have to see. Before we go, though, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Mavix Gaming Chairs. I mentioned them earlier. Go to mavix.com/nerdstreet and use the code NSG55 to get $55 off your order for a gaming chair that includes things ranging from comfortable cushioning, air conditioning. Like, okay, the first thing I mentioned was like pretty, high quality chair. Of course, it's good conditioning. Then like air conditioning is like kind of like 5 steps above that.
Yeah.
But, still 2 good things. And who wouldn't want that in a chair? So thank you, Mavix, for sponsoring the show. I don't know, Harrison, any other thoughts on Clubhouse potential before we go to a break?
If we see the same bands, I'm going to scream.
If we see the same bands, not only will we scream, we'll send it to a break immediately. No, I'm just kidding. Well, we will be back in just a couple minutes to see if we do get those same bands or not. We'll just have to see.
Hi, my name is Tones, and I play for Mystic. I think we'll do fine against the CL teams. Their strengths, they're way more coordinated. They have better team play. That's something we've been working on forever, and we'll be ready. Nothing we haven't seen or played against before. Picking up Gunner for Splash a week before quals, or not even a week, a few days before quals was pretty rough. Brings a lot more structure, more vocal. It just makes it a lot more easier on me as an IGL, just having someone who's more vocal. Our biggest problem in quals was us not working together, throwing rounds, just easy stuff that comes with practice. Once we get in the reps, it'll be free cash. I really want to beat 2F. I mean, Splash joined them. I just instinctively want to prove to him that it's just a terrible decision. I mean, they're literally terrible. On game day, I usually wake up, play T-Hunt, shower, make some coffee. Don't put anything in the coffee, just straight black coffee, and then water. Maybe a Hot Pocket for breakfast. Easiest team to beat will be Achieve. Like, they're just, I mean, come on. Like, they got Morocco, TPA. Those guys are free. We literally have Sweater. He's going straight to Pro League as soon as his band's up. This is going to be Little League for him. He's going to walk through everyone. Really only play Siege right now. Play a lot of Ranked in my free time, but grind in and out. Besides Siege, I like playing a lot of survival games like Ark, Rust, just stuff like that.
Seconds left. It's gonna come down.
Favor making a third as he puts up. Faking up, finds the draw 3. Stunning here from
Close score lines all throughout the day. No different on map number 1 in this series. 7-4 for Mystic on their map pick. And now we go to Clubhouse. Just joining in, I am Lynx, joined by Crow. And Harrison, we're going into Clubhouse. You know, I'm a little bit skeptical of KARN and Co., but this is now their map. It's got to be a little bit closer, can it?
I would certainly hope so. The rounds that they did win, most of them, they looked pretty good. Especially round 10 on their kitchen defense, where they were holding in lobby, they were playing aggressive. They weren't really like peeking and taking fights. They were applying pressure, making it so that Mystic could not walk in for free, kind of making Mystic scared to walk in. And I loved that kind of play from KARN. Unfortunately, well, it came a little bit too late. They couldn't keep it up. But you don't really necessarily need to play like that on Clubhouse. You can. You don't need to. Clubhouse can be a lot slower, a little bit more methodical. We want to take a look at the map stats. Of course.
Wow.
It's Sweater at the top. I mean, we mentioned it. You know, he was 16-7. No one else in the lobby was even close. So, of course, he's going to be our MVP. Not only was he fragging out, but he's also 91% cost. Incredible work from Sweater. There's a reason why people think he's getting picked up for the NAL as soon as his ban is lifted. In second place, of course, Gunner also dropping double digits, but no one on the Mystic roster having a slow game at all. All 5 of them were doing their part.
It's something I wanted to highlight. We always talk about, you know, Mystic gaining the early round aggression, always doing well. If you look, the entry stats are actually fairly even across the board for both teams. Obviously, some players negative, some positive, some even, but nobody really putting in a disproportionate effort. And also, KARN not exactly slacking too much in the entry department either. Then again, Mystic have looked so strong going into Clubhouse. It's hard to say. Now they're on a 3-map streak in the SCS regular season. Does it stop here? Does it stop on KARN & Co.'s pick? We'll have to see. We also saw literally just default bans for Club on Coastline.
Thatcher.
Are we going to see it here? In the same order or in a different one at least?
It was Thatcher, Hib, Valkyrie, Mira.
Yes.
In that order.
That's usually the standard order too, I feel like. So we have
First it'll
Hib.
be Hib.
Will it be Thatcher next up? I imagine it will be. Wouldn't be surprised.
It might also be not necessarily the same order, but the same teams banning the operators, because...
Oh, that's true. So I guess if you rearrange it, it could be the same.
Yeah.
So let's see. Mystic banned Thatcher first last time. KARN & Co.
Banned
banned
Mira
Hib second.
They ban Mira next. Club isn't a big Mira map.
It's not.
We might
That is
have Mira
true.
still up.
Not say like maybe Cafe
Please.
or Villa, but no. Okay, Mira's gone as well. Last defensive ban's probably gonna be Valk. Probably, you know.
Remember how I said if we have the same exact bans as Coastline, I scream?
Please don't actually scream. Please don't actually. Please don't. You don't have to. You don't need to. You don't need to do that. It's not like these are bad bans. It's not like these are bad
All right.
bans.
That was a weak scream.
Yeah, it was. I'll take it.
I
I'll
tried to
accept
like
that
give it
happened.
kind of the scream intensity while also keeping it quieter.
Yeah, making sure you know, I can still listen to the game audio.
Yeah.
And
Do that
again,
way if
it's
you want.
usually whenever Harrison and I react like that, it's like they're bad bands. It's just, you know, we enjoy we've been in the amateur
something different.
we've been in the amateur
please.
scene for a while. Just like to spice it up every now and then. Saw a
2
mute ban
years of these
yesterday.
bans.
That was wild.
Mute bans are
A little bit of that. Make Flores a lot more viable. He's already very good. Mute ban makes him a lot better. We do have a mute here. No Flores though, fortunately. We do have a mute though. In fact, we have a Mozzie. Individual. It's an extended roam on basement because it's one of the main strats that teams like to run for this site. For KARN & Co. as well. Harrison, if Mystic were running this, I imagine we'd see maybe players like Newers on the Vigil getting aggressive and trying to take fights. For KARN & Co., I anticipate they'll play this in a way where they're more in the traditional vein of it. More so just trying to waste time, waste intel, and slowly retreat back. Enough so that Mystic barely have time to do anything on the rest of the map. Now we'll see them get too aggressive unless they absolutely need to.
Carter. Is that a mute Mozzie Vigil combo?
You
On a
can't do
church
the
defense?
You can't do the bit. I already explained the setup.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you take a look at the right side of your screen,
Dude, like you're gonna get muted. You're gonna get muted. Ferme's gonna come down. Ferme's gonna come down from Mount Olympus and disconnect your mic from his computer or from your computer.
I won't do the bit.
Wait, were you muted the whole?
Wait, I
we actually
was
muted the whole
already
time.
muted. God damn it!
I didn't know you were muted. I thought he was just like trying to get ahead of it. I didn't know you were actually muted.
I gave up, and then I heard Ferme go, "I'm muted." Well, thank you,
Nah,
Ferme.
it was
I
more
can
gleeful
speak
than
again.
that, but
But Mystic are going for the full clear. They want to press this roam, force these players back as soon as possible. Now, it's already been a minute. They've got the jacuzzi wall open, and that's already forced one player back downstairs. I believe it was the Mozzie of Xeno. Yeah, he's on the middle floor. Mikey not far behind. They're looking like they want to get ready to start rotating out, and as Whitlock leaves bar, that might be the call, but he's not going to be allowed to leave, at least not alive. Tones cuts him down through the B1 barricade. What a shot onto the Vigil, and an opening pick, though it does not go unanswered.
Unlucky for Whitlock there, but they do manage to take down the Yana. Very important pick at that. Most importantly, out of all of that, Mystic have been able to clear out and push back that top floor without too much time loss. Still not the best, don't get me wrong. Basement attacks, especially if you kind of have to scramble something together, can be very hectic if it's a 4v4 on the site. So it is a little bit easier because Mikey's on low HP. You have to open up these hatches with a Maverick as well. That's going to take a lot of time. Ivana banned, and Ace is their only other hard breach. They're focusing more so on using the Summers for the church wall. As you can see, now that they're opened up, that Maverick's going to take a while to open up those two hatches. And now with 45 seconds left, you have to decide, do we want to go for a Moto Kitchen? Do we want to rotate somebody over to blue? They probably don't have the manpower to go for that latter option. So they just have to push through these doorways and hope they can make the either utility or gunfights work. KARN is playing aggressively on this wall and could be the most likely candidate for an opening pick in the final 30 seconds, but instead it's Gunner of all players. The Ace was on bottom main stairs, now dropping Diffuser there as well. Two players inside of Moto just going for the kills, but Xeno, uncontested inside of blue, picks up 2 for him. Not even remotely difficult for him to do that. KARN retakes his position, takes a kill as well. KARN and Co get a very solid first round.
So while the roam didn't work exactly as intended, they still went 1 for 1, but it was the anchor play that was the big highlight of that round, especially KARN holding on to the church wall for that long without even really getting touched. Completely gassing it out. That angle from Xeno too, nasty, playing just shallow enough so that he can't get peeked from Moto and finds the player as they're walking in. Because, right, usually you check the floor angle, you hold it for a couple seconds, then you walk in, and someone holds it for you. But Xeno was too shallow. So as that player started to walk in, they obviously weren't checking to their right. Easy kill for the Mozzie, and he just adjusts his angle to get the second. So really well done by Xeno to protect his smoke, who ended up getting the final kill anyway. Really good church hold from KARN and Co. I mean, that was the real highlight of the round. That's what won them the round. And now we head onto Cash. I also really like the decision, by the way, before I toss. I really like the decision of KARN and Co. to fall back really early, because typically with those SSGS roams, you want to waste as much time as possible. But KARN and Co., knowing how Mystic play, did not want to fight Mystic on the roam clear and fell back super quick. So I really like that decision.
They even lost that opening duel, not even necessarily because, Whitlock took a fight. I mean, from my perspective, it seemed like Tone just shot a barricade and happened to kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not even exactly anything wrong there, just, unlucky timing. Tone's happy to shoot a barricade right as he crossed, so I agree as well. All the points that you mentioned. Moving forwards to CCTV and Cash, however, not the exact same kind of thing. You can't slowly bait them in and then constrict them with the site play. Maybe the site play isn't, the first and last line of defense, but there's only about 2 or 3 lines of defense for CCTV and Cash, and one of them is, or both of them are right next to the site, so it's a little bit more difficult to go with that style of play, and we already see one of the facets occur here. An Electric Claw is sent out to try to burn the hard breach charge on that garage door, which is meant to deny anybody playing close on that. Well, one, on plat wall. Well, on plat wall. I was going to say breach, but the wall isn't open yet, so that technically be inaccurate. But also, once the Maverick is used later on, to get pressure inside a garage. Mystic are tackling this area of the map extremely quickly, not hesitating any time to put pressure on mainly Sonar, but Mikey by extension. If they're able to do this quickly and get plat wall open as well, this is looking like a very quick recovery for Mystic in round number 2 compared to round number 1.
Ooh, garage has been opened. The Sonar's position much more exposed. He does have Xeno with him, so it's a 2-man garage hold. Nade goes up, does not do a lick of damage to that player in Cash. Sweater desperately trying to find someone with these nades, but that one will not find its mark either. Newers has now walked in through the breach, and Sonar is none the wiser. That is a freebie for the Zoe. Is there going to be an answer from Xeno? He's just prone in rafters. He doesn't want his position to be known quite just yet. He's going to sit here and wait, and he'll collect a freebie of his own. C4 goes out. Wow, it's just going to get sniped in midair, and well, he's cut down from the breach by Gunner. So it's still a man advantage here for Mystic, and they have rafters control, and of course, that's big when you want to be going for this split. But Whitlock, who we saw earlier put some shots in the stock wall, trying to be kind of a distraction, was never cleared out, so he makes his move. He cuts down Doc, tries to find the second, but Sweater makes sure that the round does not get out of hand, keeps his team in the advantage, and Newers is looking to try and crouch walk through the breach to establish a better position, but he'll back off, allow Sweater to pick up the case. There's 50 seconds left. While Mikey does have a C4, that's really all the defense has going for them in terms of plant denial.
KARN's trying his best on this long angle right now, and if somebody presents themselves in the middle of that window, he could find a kill, but Mikey, now it's all on him with this C4. Can he get the kill on a Sweater? But oh no, it gets Newers, but it doesn't deny the plant. It puts Sweater on 1 HP, and Gunner's still there for the coverage. C4 got a kill, but it went a bit too far, sailed through the hole made in the garage wall. Mystic get that first round on the board.
And that's the strength of opening garage wall. There's a lot of good things that come out of it, right? One, you get a deeper angle into rafters from the breach. Two, you can walk in behind server from rafters without exposing yourself to any angles being held from the site. You don't have to, like, sprint in through plat or whatever. And three, the C4. The default C4 does not stick to the wall, and thus, it does not kill the planter. I mean, sure, you get the guy on rafters, but as long as your plat player is still alive, which Gunner was, you're pretty damn safe getting that plant down, and you've still got a good, post plant. So well done, Mystic. KARN and Co. You saw as well earlier. Who was it? I think Mikey on the Goyo. Yeah, Mikey attempting to deny the Selma breach, but missed a couple shots, and we saw how much work that Selma charge did.
Indeed, we did. Now going to gym and bedroom. Goyo shifts hands. Mikey instead takes the Wamai. Sonar moving to the Goyo. KARN, of course, on smoke. Whitlock still on Jaeger. That was another player that I thought might have a lot more of an impact than he actually did. Whitlock got a kill down below previously, but he was traded out by Sweater as the Sledge made his entry into Garage. Still could have been a very powerful position, and goes to show that if KARN and Co. are able to go for those plays, to play those positions on the roam and win their fights, of how massive an impact they can have by how almost round-defining Whitlock's play downstairs was. In this case as well, depending on where he's holding. Right now, Zeno's inside of Logistics, so he might be playing in Con, aiding Mikey, playing inside of Cash. If those two are able to hold down the fort, if Mystic decide to attack here, that could be the pivotal play that defines this round, if they're able to hold out and maybe even win a fight. Right now, Mystic have yet to commit. They've opened up that wall, just denying anybody playing on Metal Balk. So then they can then move forward, open up the Jacuzzi walls. For the first minute or so, pretty standard stuff for Mystic on their attacks. But now with both walls open, now is when they decide where we need to see where they want to commit.
Oh, wow. I actually thought KARN was going to die there.
I did as well.
I was almost really close. Mystic have garnered a lot of control so far for very little time. It's only been about 2 minutes. Gas grenades already coming out from KARN. He's worried about someone perhaps dropping or peeking the hatch. So he's going to send a nade down, but does not catch anyone. Flames coming out from Tones as well, but no one really to act upon them. But Gunner does get the first pick on the Sonar, so Goyo dead, C4 off the board. That is a pretty big pick, because now you're just left down to the gas canisters for plant denial, and well, KARN's already used one, and there's still a minute and a half left. Now, Sweater does get refragged by KARN in Logi, so that is your Logi hatch player down. That is a lot of pressure over towards the office side of things, no longer available to the attack. You still got an attacker repelled outside plat wall, even though no one on the defense is playing over towards that position. He's finally going to come up and start joining his team. And in a 4v4 like this, you definitely want that body at your side. That's Doc as the Maverick, who still actually has a couple nades. You could potentially Mav open this wall to force Whitlock out of Con, but I'm not quite sure if the attackers have the proper intel. If they do have some on KARN, they'll down him. Doc gets the rotate, but not before Zeno evens the odds. So 2 versus 3, but Zeno's going to get cut down. And although Mikey gets a refrag, he's going to look for 2. He downs Gunner, but it's not enough. Doc still coming from KARN. Makes sure the round goes his team's way, and it's 2-1 Mystic.
Their Mystic, as you said, they're able to get both those wall open pretty much for free, but that's often the case on Gym Bedroom. You're likely not going to reinforce the CCTV wall, plat wall. At that point, if there's not much hard breach denial on the board, if you're, say, not bringing a K, you're not bringing a Bandit, even if you have a Mute, but there's a Maverick on the board, that that Jacuzzi wall is likely getting opened as well. And that's kind of an inherent flaw for the site, especially if you're playing Mystic. They have 2 openings for free in the round just by nature of the site and the operators that are left on the board or weren't opted to be brought. They have both those walls open. They can start pushing their way in through Con. They start pressuring Logi, pressuring Bedroom, pressuring Gym, pressuring every area in and around the site that wasn't CCTV and Cash after Mikey had already started rotating back. And that's a situation where Mystic thrives, where sure, Karn and Co can struggle, they can fight, but if they're still on the back foot and they're not equally contesting, Mystic can push forward, barrel on through, and pick up rounds. Going here, though, Harrison, this was a big round from Karn and Co to start things out that we saw. They started out big last time on Coastline, too. Can they replicate their success on this site, too? Second time?
One thing they're not doing, though, is roaming. I guess, you know, the roam wasn't all that successful. It was more on the site play. So it does make sense for Karn and Co to invest more in the site play. Mikey on Echo. Huh. That's an odd one. I don't think I've ever seen Mikey on Echo. Mikey is typically a pretty... It's the same thing as like Gunner on Smoke. Mikey's a really aggressive player. Having him on Echo is definitely interesting rather than someone like Sonar or Xeno. But hey, Karn want to roll with it. Obviously, Mikey's the man for the job. So I do like how they're investing a little bit more in the site play department. But we've seen how fast Mystic's clears are so far. I mean, they've been like main wall breach, setting up for execute a minute in. And if you're not adequately wasting time, there's not a lot of room for that Echo to be useful. So I don't know. I think switching up their setup is kind of give and take here.
I do think definitely not able to, say, waste time or play for the trade on the attack can be bad, but if you're rotating down to focus on impact, tracking down below, it can certainly work. Gunner already 2 Selma charges wasted onto that kitchen hatch. If he wants to open up the church wall, which he only used 1 Selma charge to open up last time, he can't do it. The only hard breaching you have now is Doc, but also Tones on that hard breach with those hard breach charges, and there's no more impact grenades for Karn and Co, so Tones can rotate over, get one down, and as long as they're weary of any potential C4s, which none are presenting themselves for Karn and Co, they can still open it up pretty easily. So not as big a deal as it might initially have been, but a Selma charge wasted and gone, Harrison. All of Mystic's, well, all of Gunner's hard breaching utility that opened up the one angle they had on the site is now gone. They still got the opening pick, despite all of that.
Yeah, I was going to mention that, you know, getting the impact tricks on the Selmas and Kitchen, probably not a big deal. I mean, Gunner was probably playing there for them to get impact trick because they have the hard breach charges on Tones, but losing the one that was supposed to go on the main wall is definitely going to hurt. And while Whitlock gets one, he's traded and Sweater follows up for another with the nade. That leaves it on Carnage and Mikey. Now, if there's 2 operators you want in a clutch like this, it's going to be your Smoke and your Echo, and as Karn gets 1 in dirt, that puts the odds a little bit in his team's favor, but not for long. Sweater finds a 3rd, and Gunner mid-drop gets Karn. 3 kills for Sweater and a 3rd point for Mystic.
And that go around, we didn't see a roam like you said. It was just Karn and Co. They're playing on the site. They had those impact tricks, but if it were just the Ace and the Maverick, that probably would have been huge. That could have been detrimental to Mystic's overall attack, but that wasn't all of their hard breaching. Because Tones has been running the Capital, he has 2 hard breach charges at his disposal. Both impacts have been wasted, maybe either intentionally or unintentionally by Gunner. Maybe. Either way, the effect is still the same. Tones can just rotate over now that there's no impacts left, open that up, and no harm, no foul. You only needed 1 Selma for the church wall anyway. Sweater's able to get the opening pick onto Xeno, likely due to the vertical play from above, or maybe he was playing main. I'm not quite sure on the position, but I do know generally where Xeno was playing, and it was inside of Armory, kind of playing around the kitchen hatch. Sweater's able to get the opening pick there. You have 2 players this time pushing in through blue, which is sometimes a fault. Sometimes if you just send 1 player in there, if you can't afford to send more than 1 player in there, he's got to win his fight, and if that doesn't happen, you're kind of screwed. They're able to play off of the man advantage and make that work. And right here, as you can see, Sonar does DC, but just in the nick of time, actually. If it had been a couple seconds later, rehost might not have been able to go through. Now, we'll have a rehost, allow Sonar to reconnect. Happened right on the brink there. Very close.
Damn it.
Yeah. We still got a hint at the setup, the site they were going to. Talk more about basement if you want.
No.
Talk more about what we saw there. You don't want to hear me talk about basement?
We could talk about basement. So, again, I said it was give and take with the way they were switching things up. Again, the anchor play is what they fell back on and won with, so they said we'll invest in it more. But there was no time wasted upstairs, so Mystic were never really pressured, and despite losing a lot of their hard breach, they still had a lot up because they were taking the double with the hard breach charges. So even though the aces got impact tricked, you still had the hard breach charge, to back it up. They completely swapped up the push when they found out they couldn't go for church. They switched to kitchen dirt. Well, kitchen dirt blue. And while Whitlock was able to hold on to one kill, got very swiftly traded back, and Sweater had the perfect angle all the way down the long hallway to get his picks. He found 3 in that round on rotating and peeking defenders. So well played the Mystic. Really good mid-round adaptation. And again, I think it was the big thing for KARN and Co. that worked. It was their site play, or worked out for their site play, was because of the roam. I mean, it didn't waste a lot of time, but it wasted some, and it wasted some utility as well. They had to waste Mav, they had to waste some of Zoe's utility, whatever. This time, Mystic could completely set up, dictate, or dedicate all of their utility to the site. I think that's the big thing. Mystic were allowed to set up, not exactly as they wanted to, but still, effectively enough.
Going forward, I will say I did manage to see before the rehost. Was it CCTV, gym, or was it basement again?
Cash.
It was cash? Okay, that's what I thought. Just wanted to check. With CCTV as well, obviously went the way of Mystic. I believe that was the first round that actually went Mystic's favor.
Yes.
It was one where Mystic, similar to Jim, but to a slightly lesser extent, were able to open things up very quickly for them. Kind of like we saw in the most recent basement round. They were able to open up garage, start pressuring there, open up plat wall pretty soon, put pressure, even more pressure onto the player inside of garage. Eventually, they take them down, and there's some counterplay. Whitlock down below, for example, stopped the attack from pushing up garage for just a little bit, though in the end, it wasn't that long. In the end, it came down to a situation on the site where it was against KARN & Co., but it was winnable. It was just a C4 that overshot because of an open garage wall that ended up doing them in, of course, combined with some mistakes and some outplays by Mystic being taken earlier on. Moving on to CCTV here, their setup, of course, wasn't inherently bad. It was perfectly fine. But one big problem we had was, again, very quick entry into garage and very heavy congestion of that position. We saw Mikey playing pit earlier, Harrison. Maybe that's a position that maybe he and Whitlock should play maybe a little bit more fervently, try and hold on to it a little bit longer. They also placed the Electro Claws late, maybe put them both there early on and, try to aggressively counter that Maverick, but they know that in all likelihood Mystic are going to put a heavy focus on garage. There's going to need to be some more utility or some more active play there dedicated to counter that, because once you have flat wall and the walls open, it's just difficult to do anything, especially if your friends retreat.
Yeah, some teams even dedicate an Electro Claw to that single garage wall, right, into server, just to make sure that it can't be breached from plat. If you know a team is going for it, a lot of times a Cade will place that there. Maybe have some extra info in bottom garage, because Sonar had no clue.
That's true.
That Newers had walked in. Even just taking, they had a Jaeger already. Take a BP, sit at bottom garage, It was also, I'm also really surprised Sonar didn't know that guy that was there, because the wall was still electrified. So Newer's character, right, the Zoe, did the little, the hurt noise when she moved through the wall. So I don't know if maybe it was cluttered by comms. That's always possible. Obviously, maybe a little bit more plant denial. It was also, they had more than one C4. It's just that Xeno wasn't in a position to use it because he was duoing with his teammate in Rafters. And if you just electroclaw that garage wall, have a little more info, Sonar's survivability and longevity increases. Maybe you don't need the double up there, because Xeno really just went 1-for-1. He died right after. So it's not like he evened the man count. It was still Mystic with a one-man advantage. You just have one less C4 on the site.
You would see Xeno obviously there was the Cade last time, so Xeno being on the Cade combined with Mikey, there are 2 C4s that can happen. Of course, that does require both of them surviving to the late round, which could very well not
Oh.
occur.
We got a
depending on
Maestro now, though.
That is true. That's what I was going to say. Depending on what happens, they do have a Maestro,
Oh,
so
wait.
there is the potential for more info depending on where they place it, but in all likelihood, there are quite a few positions
Oh.
you might want to watch. You know, say you want to have some info watching construction. Of course, you wouldn't place one in construction, but watching inside the site, maybe having somebody on red stairs. But I do imagine, in all likelihood, you likely may see one Evil Eye placed inside a garage just to help. No matter where they are, there's still at least the potential for more info, even to influence plat wall. If Sonar gets a call that, hey, they're actually not watching your plat right now. They're on plat, but, you know, they're not looking at you. Maybe he fuels a bit more freedom and has discretion in a moment to adjust a little bit more. Just the fact that there's something that could ease him up a little bit will do wonders, especially if Mystic put as much focus on rafters as they did in round number 2 when they first attacked CCTV.
Yeah, I also just realized I said that they were bringing Maestro like that was a new development, but I remember they had Maestro last time.
Still could put an Evil Eye there if they wanted to, but
That's true. Jaeger has Barb. So I don't think they really have any added info in Garage. I didn't see him place an Evil Eye in there. Mikey is bottom Garage, though. As Doc goes ahead and starts the the Electro Claw. Starts maving the wall. Xeno is going to pick up his Electro Claw. Throw it somewhere else. Where did he just chuck it?
pick on
Where did
wall.
he put? Oh, Conwall. But like, I guess that they figure the Sonar Mikey combo in Garage is going to be enough to force them to rotate to Con.
I will say, Mikey was playing here last time, though, so that is also not a new development. He was playing Pit earlier. I was just thinking something in addition to Mikey and Sonar playing in these positions might be necessary. But again, if they're anticipating a rotate, that might be the case, but so far, Mystic, it's only a minute in, they could very well rotate over to Con. It doesn't appear that they're taking that route whatsoever. They are still putting a focus on Garage, taking a little bit slower than last time. They're not able to put a hard breach charge on the wall. They choose not to, but the Pit player goes down. Tones removes him by entering into Lounge. He catches Mikey off guard inside a Pit, and now Sonar's one helping hand is gone. You'll feel that he's obligated to rotate over, but even then, he's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Either rotate in front of plat wall, give yourself up to the player there, or stand up and rotate no matter what. You put yourself at risk of getting taken down by Newers. It's a difficult position and difficult balancing act that Sonar has to make work, and honestly, he might just have to play his life in this position and waste as much time as he can.
Oh, but he
That's how you do
pops
it.
up and destroys Newers. Down goes the Ash, looking for a second out the breach, but Gunner's going to tag him. Here's a nade, and it's got his name on it. Sweater cuts him down. I also like to Sweater earlier in the round. He remembered Whitlock coming over towards Bar and denied the position from him. The Whitlock has now tried to go over towards Oil Pit, stop the players from crossing up the stairway, but he ends up dying. Xeno is soon to follow. It's now KARN in a 1 versus 3 as he finds Tones. Oh, beautiful shot onto Doc. He knows the plant is going down, but he can't find the angle. Now 1 versus 2 post-plant on Cash. Gunner has already sprinted out the breach. And Sweater is over towards bottom Garage. He's hucking nades over towards the position. RNHB is going to impact open the wall. He sees the rappel line as well. He's going to try and bait the peek from Gunner, but no, he mistimes it and misses the shots. Gunner finds the pick. Mystic with round 5. They go up 4-1.
Again, following a similar pattern as to what we saw on Coastline. A little bit different, but still, KARN and KO have a very solid showing in the opening round. But since then, and I feel like progressively more so, it's been more and more and more just looking like Mystic are the better team so far in this match, especially that round. You see Mikey and Pitt playing down, excuse me, playing downstairs. He's Sonar's only real support in that area. But Harrison, did he have a shield even dedicated down there?
He was
He's-
playing dry.
Exactly. He's just playing
And
by
raw.
himself in that position. And again, there's nobody really there who can help Mikey out either. Nobody playing bottom red. It was a solo entry from Tones. Yeah, Sony, maybe rotate down, help out your position. They could even play your trade because Tones was immediately focused on nading the floor soon after. It's positions like here where Mystic have very adequately and very well been able to find those openings in KARN and Ko's defense where they're weak. And then usually once they exploit them, the other weaknesses open up. And, well, in that case, a weakness lined up with the strategy they were going for anyway. It's not seeming very probable that Mystic are going to go up 5-1 after this, of course, or Mystic won gym previously. They opened up Jacuzzi Wall and Plat Wall almost immediately, it felt like, in the round. And then they just put pressure around the entire site, and KARN & Co. eventually burst. They couldn't fight back that much. This site as well lends itself particularly well to Mystic strengths, and it's difficult to see how KARN & Co., especially without many adaptations on the surface, will fare with that.
Jim, well, their last defense wasn't terrible.
No, it wasn't bad. Just Mystic
Did
just slowly squeeze the life out of him.
Yeah, it was also down to Doc's position, coming through Cash into KARN relatively unchecked. You got 2 kills. So, instead of a locking off construction, or well, reinforcing the wall and playing kind of a loose con position, KARN & Co. will dedicate utility to Cash. They'll already rotate a player out. Fortunately for Tones, he doesn't cut down that player despite having the cutoff on the window. It's a very slim angle, so completely understandable that he doesn't hit the shot. You use Sonar alone as Sweater. I don't know if that was a one-tap, but kind of destroys Zeno. Okay, Newers is just in Logi. Whitlock gets the pick, but can't find the second. You got to win those against the Iana, Whitlock. And luckily, Sonar's able to refrag. Mikey finds one of his own to equalize. It's 2 versus 2. Doc left on his own to cover Gunner, but there's nothing from the defense to stop this. He doesn't get away, but he does plant, and that leaves Doc alone in post. 1 versus 2, it's more than doable, especially with his position. They've got no idea he's here. He'll light up Sonar a little bit, but Mikey's just going to continue. Hope the Goyo can cover, and he can't get him from behind the weight rack. Oh no! The angle does not work out for the Maverick. Well played positioning from the Wamai. And finally, after 4 losses in a row, KARN & Co. take another round.
That was an excellent recovery by them. As you and I both mentioned at the exact same time, Newers miraculously was just inside of logistics. Probably just pushed into there, which I probably dropped the hatch, I would imagine, because there were 3 people stacked inside of Cash last time we saw. I imagine they didn't all 3 rotate out immediately. Some did, but I imagine not all of them. He manages to rotate in. Him and Sweater both get a kill there, but this is the benefit of not maybe fully clearing out a position, just dropping Logi and trying to make an opening work. Was Whitlock still inside of construction? He's able to get a kill in tandem with his team. They're able to shut down the brunt of the Logi push and stop what was water finding a crack in pavement into destroying the entire foundations. They contain it, they stop it, and make it a 2v2. Gunner's able to get the bomb down, but then the recovery by Mikey, sending out the C4. Sure, it only downed him, and sure, Gunner even got the bomb down. But based on that position in the 1v2, Gunner just scrambling to get the bomb on the floor. Mikey can find the angle to defuse without exposing himself. There was a good recovery in the final round, but now Mystic get to go to the defense with the momentum. And maybe in this first round, we'll see something really impressive from KARN & Co., something of their attacks. But even on Coastline, it looked better, but I wasn't thoroughly impressed at times. But there were still a lot of workable pieces there that I think on their map pick as well, they definitely should and have the potential to demonstrate. There you go. Tones probably just gave his life away there.
Tones? Spawn Peak and Garage, it looks like. Wait. No, wait, where's the little icon?
I can't tell, but considering where he was, I would imagine it was Garage.
Yeah, it's safe to assume. So, good pick from Mikey. I also just now realized that is the first opening pick KARN & Co. have gotten this entire map.
Yep.
Yeah, Mystic were 6-0 on their attack. So I guess the attack is now 7-0 on entries.
It's one way to phrase it. You could also say that Mystic are 6-0 and KARN are 6-1 and KARN are 1-6. All are a logically equivalent statement. And then aside from that pick on the Tones, not much has happened. Of course, KARN & Co., because of that opening pick, you feel emboldened to take this map control quickly, especially considering Mystic not playing too far off the site, instead playing all around that basement, aren't really contesting that map control that much. Heard a C4 from Newers earlier that was pre-placed. It was detonated. Now, since it did not find anything, except maybe some damage onto Whitlock, the attack is pretty much worry-free on this clear upstairs. They can start opening up these holes, and save for anybody challenging from below, likely won't meet much pressure overall. How Carnico can transition is a different question entirely. 2 players playing in blue right now compared to 1 from KARN & Co., which could change soon. If it's still a 5v4, they could rotate somebody over, have somebody push Oil Pit as well if they want to make that happen. Right now, the main focus is instead main stairs and opening up all of those angles. Mikey, too, even vacating the premises, leaving and likely going to join the rest of his team. They're able to open up this church wall that could be very good, but they need to destroy the Hardwich denial on that wall. KARN is a nade, but until then, it seems that Carnico might just be a little bit stuck.
If he just let go of that nade, if there were no ADSs there, Newers could have been a dead man. But Whitlock, after getting lit up earlier, goes down to the fight through the floor. Newers as well, playing behind the shield, catches Sonar and nearly the second, but no, Carnage is quicker on the trigger, looking for the second, sees Doc's shoulder, heavily lights up the Jaeger, but there's Gunner playing on a little hole in Ashwall. He gets the refrag before Mikey finds Doc. Now it's Sweater alone. He's on smoke this time. An odd operator for Sweater to be playing, for sure. They'll still find the pick onto Mikey. That leaves Xeno alone. 1 versus 2, 15 seconds left. Pressed for time and stuck in a Banshee, and Sweater outduels him with the SMG-11. We're normally used to him playing the fragging operators, but it seems he can do the job on smoke as well, and it's a 5-2 lead now for Mystic.
So Carnico are relatively unobstructed on their clear. They even get a free pick thanks to Tone's spawn peeking garage door. They take that in stride. They get their control. They're feeling good for about pretty much half, if not 2/3 of the round. But then they get down to the church wall, and with a minute left, they're like, all right, we need to take this down. I believe it was only KARN on Maverick, who was the only one with nades left at that point. So they're like, KARN, if we want to get this down, you got to come over. You got to rotate main. If you want to open up church wall, which they could, it's a little bit more risky with the Thermite as opposed to Ace into Selma charges like Mystic were doing, but you can certainly still do it. Thermite was the guy who did it before Ace was in the book, or Ace was in the pool, usually. But here's where things start spinning out of control. Because as they're doing that, well, what do Mystic do? They get aggressive. They take a fight with somebody on the holes. They end up winning it. Happens. Happens to the best of us. And at this point, KARN and Co. start stumbling. You have somebody... wow, again... What is that timing? Same thing happened with Sonar right as prep phase hit.
Damn it!
Well, wait to see if it gets confirmed. Does or not. But anyway, continuing with what I was saying earlier. Will be confirmed, so we will be going to another rehost. Hello. We're back.
What's up?
But as I was saying, KARN and Co. were relatively unobstructed until Mystic started swinging. Newers takes the fight with the guy in Moto. They can't really find much control at that point. They're still stuck in the exact same position, just with less tools to do it. They have to take the fights, and while it came close, it was just the final minute where they came across, honestly, an obstruction that isn't even all that uncommon and understandable that they needed to take a bit. It was just Mystic took like the 10-15 seconds where they were rotating and used it perfectly.
Yeah. And of course, Sweater holding down blue, big part of that round, delaying the push for a pretty long time with his gas canisters and just doing the job with his gun. I also didn't even realize Sweater was on smoke for like that entire round until we spectated him. I would have definitely commented on that if I had seen it earlier. I guess Gunner was tired of playing it, and Sweater was like, you know what? I got this. He's got to show his flexibility off to all the T1 teams so he can get picked up when his ban is over. But this is not the scoreline we were expecting. Well, okay.
No.
I shouldn't say that.
Well, it was not the scoreline we were hoping for at this point.
Yeah, I think that's a more accurate statement. KARN and Co. have, again, looked a little bit limp. Looked a little limp. The 2 rounds they've got, right? They got round 1, and they got round 6. Round 1 looked really good. I keep saying it over and over again. Their anchor play, incredible. And then round 6, let it get a little bit out of control, but the post plant was well played, and it was down to good positioning from the last 2 players to win it out against the Maverick of Doc, who was stuck on the balcony. Every other round, they've just not looked good. They haven't looked great. I mean, round 2 is decently close, but I mean, round 3, there were 3 people alive for Mystic. Round 4, 3 people alive for Mystic. Round 5, I'm sure there were only 2, but it was post-plant. On cash, once again. I mean, this recent round, I mean, there were only 2 alive from Mystic, but they had completely separated the players from KARN & Co. They were just taking ones. So, again, it's been limp from the CL team. And we talk about their firepower being inconsistent. That's kind of fully on display here against Mystic, who are, scarily consistent.
Well, that's one thing we could say for them over the past couple weeks of SCS so far, in prime position to secure this series and then move to the playoffs.
Yes, this is a game for playoffs.
Yeah, first T3 team to qualify.
Yes, because Surf haven't played yet.
Yes. I don't know why it was one of those things where I was 98% sure I'm right, but because I'm me, even though it was 2%, I was like, maybe? I'm not sure. Yeah, they would be the first T3 team to qualify for playoffs. Of course, we saw Aqualix qualify yesterday, and I believe that's the only team that has officially qualified for playoffs so far, because that Eclectic game was not one that was for playoffs contention. I'm assuming because Eclectic literally lost their first game, so they couldn't make playoffs off of their win yesterday. So they would be the third team. We just had a series that played. They'd be the third team qualified for playoffs, and they'd be the first T3 team. So
yeah.
Now that we got all that out of the way, move on. Struggle for me for some reason.
Aqualix, that's who it is. Aqualix, Two-Faced, and now looking like Mystic.
Might not be. You get a bit of an
Looking like
extended break
Mystic.
here for KARN to talk things over, so could come back after that.
I'm sure KARN and Co are discussing at great lengths what they need to try and do to put a stunt to Mystic's their role right now. Because last time Mystic went around on this map, it turned into 4 very quickly in relative ease. And they only need 2 more rounds. KARN need 3 to try and catch up. In fact, because KARN and Co are on the attack, Mystic have a full 3 site rotations worth of a buffer. And if you can't find any site that you can successfully defend after your initial one, you kind of deserve to lose the lead at that point. But honestly, I don't know why, Carter, but I can't imagine a world in which that happens to Mystic. At least not right now. Not with the way KARN and Co's playing.
It's still not like their attack was necessarily bad, but at the same time, because nobody from Mystic was really contesting the first floor, it's hard to say, hey, good job. You took control that was basically free. They weren't even impact tricking. There's only one C4, which, to be fair, they did navigate and maneuver around successfully. So they did all that. And when they rotated downstairs, it's not like they got stunted on some easy problem to fix. They had to take down an Electric Claw with not that much time remaining, with not that much utility remaining, and they had to do it all the while. Mystic had 4 bodies still up that were eager to swing either on the same floor they were on or the floor above them. But beyond that, it wasn't a terrible showing. It was solid. It was fine. Again, there are workable pieces here that they can transition into something good. We saw it on Coastline. We've seen it at least a little bit here on Clubhouse Attacks. We need to see a little bit more. But as you said, there's not a lot of time remaining, so a little bit more might only go so far when you only could potentially have a couple more rounds remaining. We're still getting a few more players in the lobby. And as you said, Mystic have 3 site rotations, not only to talk about right now to what site they're going to, but also potentially plans for the future. Also just keep their head in the game, because again, they're in the lead. I'm sure they're not going to have any problems keeping themselves invested.
Yeah, and kind of the thing that concerns me is even if KARN and Co are talking it out, right? We saw it on Coastline. By the time they figured out a winning formula, one that I really liked, that worked very well against Mystic, it was kind of too little too late. I mean, by then,
One of the
you don't
last
have
rounds.
any sort of buffer. Yeah, it was the second to last round. And they finally figured it out. Are we going to have the same situation for Clubhouse? Mystic are already at 5 points. Even if KARN and Co find some sort of winning formula here. 1, is it going to be too little too late? 2, if it's not, can KARN and Co even be consistent enough to keep it up and tie the game? Because that's the other question mark. Even if KARN and Co find a way to beat Mystic on this map and beat them in a convincing round, can they do it again? Because this entire series, they have only taken 2 rounds in a row once, and it was on opposite sides. So I wouldn't even really count that with the point I'm trying to make.
I'll side up will be CCTV and Cash for Mystic. Don't believe might see Viewers hasn't locked in his op yet,
Got
but
the Legion again.
it's too late to 6-pick at this point. He's just Newish is just very indecisive, I suppose. Not quite sure.
Listen, he was
Yeah.
trying to fake out KARN & Co. and make them believe that there was a 6th pick.
Ah, clever.
Mind games.
When in reality, he's just Legion.
He's me.
Yeah?
I am Legion.
No, but going forward here, Mystic have a lot of their necessary utility that they need to make this setup work. That plat wall, it's going to get open. It's just going to, in all likelihood. If you were to bring a Cade, you'd likely dedicate it to garage walls, but all Mystic are doing are bringing a Mute and putting a jammer on that plat wall, and since there's a Maverick, it's, again, in all likelihood, going to get open. Same with the garage walls. Maverick's probably going to rotate down, cut through those electric claws, so what better to do than bring the Jaeger and the Omai, stack out the projectile denial inside a garage, but then more so focus on other things. Say bringing a Legion to allow Newers to frag, also give some more implicit intel, not necessarily active like a camera, but if you're a sound cue, you can play off of that. Get Gunner on the Malusi, something he's comfortable with, and also provide some utility to slow things down, some intel as well with that bulletproof. Because of the Mavericks on the board, it almost frees up some of the defensive options because those walls are getting open, hard breach denial or not. Might as well just accept it.
KARN is getting that wall open, of course. Mute Jammer will not stop him.
All
as
right.
Mikey gets a Claymore kill on Tones. So, the Mute that we saw escape, I think... I don't even know where he tried to rotate to. Never seen that kill before. Well, now you have. But Sweater is very quick to refrag with an MP5K of his own. He'll kill Sonar, the Thermite. Now, luckily, the garage wall is already open. Plat wall is already open. But if you wanted to go ahead and open something like the con single wall, or maybe the wall up in garage, you can no longer do that unless Carnage B can. Now, the attacker's going to get a 2nd pick. Make that a 3rd as Carnage B, I think, just walked right in and killed Newers. Yeah, in the red hallway. He's now in default. Xeno gets another, and the advantage is full, by far and away, in the favor of the attack. And finally, it's another round for them. They'll take their 3rd.
What's ironic is that, it's very good. KARN & Co. got around on the board. Very excited. Very, very exhilarating. But based on how that round went, they should have won that, through and through. Everything went their way. Tones, I believe the 2nd time this match, actually, I think 2 times in a row, gifts the attack an opening pick. The first time Mikey had to actually shoot someone. This time, all he had to do was press G and forget. Just gets the same guy. And at that point, plat wall's open. They're moving into garage. Sweater decides to rotate down off of garage, and he does get a kill on the onto the player outside of the door, but he's out of position. In fact, he even rotates down into oil pit and very quickly cedes control of garage to the attack. Gunner as well, inside of CCTV, still playing there. He's pinched, he's stuck, can't rotate in front of Platwall, he'll get shot. He's stuck with an angle looking at him from the window as well. On low HP, he's easily finished off. At that point, KARN & Co. quickly realize, hey, we're gaining all this momentum. Newers is off the site. He's rotating back. Let's move in. If we can get even 1 pick, this round should be ours. They get that pick without losing a single body after that. You end up losing one, of course. But overall, they just very quickly in the first minute almost gained everything they needed to make an execute and a flood happen. And then once they realized that, they acted on it and won the round accordingly.
Once again, Carter, I ask the $1 million question.
Yes, I
they
will
do it
marry
again?
you.
What?
What? Sorry?
I mean, I will be in Indiana tomorrow. Tomorrow night. Wanna get together?
No.
Man. But anyway, the $1 million question was, can they do it again? Instead of Mav tricking the wall, they will simply shoot the Mute Jammer now that they know there's really nothing else stopping it. Defense will try and impact trick through it, but it will be unsuccessful. So, easy opening of the plat wall, and this time, it's a little bit quicker. Sonar is able to easily open that up. And now we'll see, where do KARN & Co. go? Are they going to go Con, or are they going to go Rafters? They have the ability to do either, and it seems as if it's going to be a garage clear once again, which worked beautifully in the previous round, though. Gunner's now over towards Strip. I don't know if he'll find an angle on anyone right now, but no, he sees the rappel, but misses! Because he hit the crouch! He didn't need to do that, and he gives up what could have been the perfect opportunity for a freebie.
It's still a 5v5 though. Could be worse. The sweater sort of getting maybe a little bit too aggressive, exposed himself to the plat wall, manages to retreat just in time. But as Gunner did expose himself to Zeno inside of Strip, Zeno very well catches Gunner on the rotate. Sweater will finish off Whitlock downed outside of Garage. Now that he's rotated down, could catch one of the attackers off guard, but Zeno manages, not to spot the Wamai. He takes him down and even peeks out for a third. He can finish off the Maverick, no problem. He goes for not even the knife, just the BM at that point. Mikey can pick him up as he rotates back in, but easily stopped by Newers. Mystic on match point, all thanks to Sweater just being the way he is. Gets a kill, continues pushing. If it works, it works.
Carter. Did KARN & Co. do it again?
You know, considering when they did it, they won. And in that round, they lost. I'm going to say no.
I would have to agree. Last time, they actually took Garage. This time, they didn't get past that point.
Sweater Goomba stomped them.
Sweater just killed everyone. In bottom garage, no less. Not even rafters. He left rafters.
Was it just on our screen that Zeno was obscured by a bush? Because that's what it looked like on our screen.
Know. It was pretty funny. Also, fun fact, the attackers have still won every opening engagement.
Wow. Fat lot of good is doing KARN & Co., isn't it?
Yeah. They're currently 1-2 on their attack, despite being 3-0 on entry. And now we move on to what could be the final round. If KARN & Co. don't clean up, we are down on Church, the site where Mystic had started this half off with a win.
10 seconds left.
But can they continue it here? Can they do it again? As you said. We'll just have to see if it'll be Mystic winning the round. I guess not doing it again, actually. Doing it not again. Just doing it, actually. Let's see if they can. Tones, thankfully, has not given his life away in the first 15 seconds, so never mind. He's probably about to. Never mind, he pushes back. We're all good. We're chilling. That would have been annoying. He will rotate back down. Still likely the attacker's aware of his position. Mikey in a position to push in through Garage. Some players moving over towards Bar as well. And Lounge too. So in a very, very problematic position if he continues aggressing. But he rotates down at likely the exact right time. So 45 seconds spent. No harm, no foul. Tones can rotate back like nothing even happened. Mystic are taking this the exact same way, or defending it the exact same way they did previously. Not getting too aggressive on that top floor besides Tones just doing his thing. What? Oh, what the hell?
Oh!
All right, well, that guy's dead. And that was your vertical destruction.
The trend! No pun intended. I didn't even realize he killed the buck. Newers bucks the trend and gets the first opening kill for the defense in this entire game. And it comes on round 10. I'm almost a little disappointed. Kind of sad we didn't have that for the whole game. But it's still a great kill and on the buck. An important operator for this attack, especially because, well, KARN & Co. tried to go for a play that did not involve the kitchen hatch last time. So if they wanted to switch it, no, they can't do that anymore. They're going to be forced to take a relatively similar attack to one that Mystic has already fought back against.
Well, minute left. First toxic canister going out inside of blue. Doc manages to evade a grenade sent on down. Newers taking a second kill as well. The blue push not working out whatsoever. In fact, it's completely dismantled, but there is actually some headway made on the opposite side of the map, but still quickly mitigated by Sweater. Very Smoke was choking the life out of blue.
Yeah, it is.
Is now rotated over. Zeno does find a nice pick onto Gunner, who is drip Boolin peeking the armory hallway. Taken down, though, so doesn't have much impact in the long run. Right now, Zeno and KARN are stuck in a bit of an unwinnable position. Spread out, they have to try to slowly push in, but there's still Sweater doing his thing inside of the site. And KARN's team's hopes are all left alive on him, on his shoulders. But KARN and his company of merry men will have to halt their playoff dreams for just 1 week longer, as it's Mystic, the first T3 team and the third team in SCS Season 6 to qualify for playoffs, as they are 4-0 for maps during the regular season so far.
Well done, Team Mystic. Well done, Sweater, on the smoke of all operators. Not an operator we are used to seeing him on, getting a 3K in the final round to seal the deal. Well done to him and his team. Mystic looked absolutely on fire this game, winning their opponent's map pick by an even wider margin than they won their own. A little bit surprising there. Like you said, Mystic are the first T3 team confirmed for playoffs, and I'm sure that Surf are looking towards a very similar accolade. I believe their game is tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely want to watch Surf. If you liked watching Mystic play, you'll love watching Surf. But I mean, this game pretty much embodied the exact thing that I thought was gonna happen. Like Mystic playing like Mystic do, and KARN and Co. a lot of times just either getting caught off guard or not being able to hang.
I mean, it is nice when, you know, we bring up a point and there's follow through in the match and what we talk about, but it is a bit disappointing because I want to be there for KARN and Co. all the way back throughout the CL stages too. I always want to be there, but it always seems like they just struggle in some of these moments. Of course, their playoff dreams are not dashed yet. They just have to win their BO3, I believe next week, and they could still make it into playoffs. Yeah. We could still see them there. You either have to have a 2-0 or 2-1 record at 2-1. I questioned my math there for a second. 2-0 or 2-1, and you make it into playoffs. You can still make it, KARN and Co. So do not worry. Mystic, you're there right now. Congratulations. First T3 team. But yeah, I imagine Surf, no offense, you know, not to downplay teams, I imagine Surf is going to be there very soon. I would not be surprised if they are here this week, as a matter of fact. Also, I believe, don't know if they're ready yet, but we will also, for the rest of the show, as all the series are done, we'll have some statistics going over the game. We'll have maybe a player interview as well. Of course, it's been kind of a long night. No, we'll have an interview instead. First up, and Harrison, I'm gonna take a wild guess as to who it might be with. You know, it's probably gonna be Gunner, if I were to guess. And yes, it is Gunner. I'm just playing coy. Hello, Gunner. Can you hear me? How you doing?
Hello. I'm doing great. Got a free dub.
Oh, come on. That's a bit rude. 7-4 on your own map pick. It was a little bit close. Can you admit that at least?
No.
It's a little bit close. Alright, fine. My bad, I get it. My fault. My bad. First things up, Harrison's finally casting you. Anything you want to say to him? I know he was very happy to cast you.
I love
Crow.
Harrison. Crow's my favorite caster, and then like you're my second, and then like
alright,
go down the
it's
list.
fine. I'll take it.
Fun.
It's fine. I won't talk to you right now. I won't try to take it too offensive. But of course, going on to Coastline, was that a map pick for your guys' strengths, or just seeing how KARN and Co play? Was that kind of a map that you knew would both, you know, kind of cater to your playstyle and immediately put KARN and Co at a disadvantage? What was the kind of thought process behind the Coast pick?
I mean, it was Coastline, so we knew like, you know, they're not really like the greatest like team wise. Like we're just better than them. So I figured if we go Coast, we could play some ranked and like swing them. So we went there for that reason.
Alright, well, in that case, Gunner, let me just ask this. How much of this game was fueled just by Mystic maybe like ego challenging or Chad pushing, as opposed to like, you know, kind of taking it a bit seriously? Because based on how it seems. Okay, well, I just wanted to get your perspective on that, because it seems like you're wanting to lean into that bit a little bit more. But again, moving towards the clubhouse as well, when you saw these map bans come through, because that's kind of the big thing I want to talk about, it was very much Mystic in the driver's seat through and through. Coastline, then Clubhouse. I mean, not only is Coastline a map that favors you, Clubhouse is a map that it's not one you're shy at all away from playing. Did you kind of just sit back and you're like, oh, this isn't going to be nearly as difficult as we thought? And please try to be at least a little bit charitable, just for me.
I mean, we really weren't worried about any map we went to.
All right.
Like, to be honest, we did no prep or like nothing about these guys. Like, we knew we were gonna win the moment we saw we were playing them. I'm just being honest. Like, we did no prep, so we didn't really care what map we went to. But seeing what maps they took us to, and like we knew what they were gonna auto ban and everything. Like, we knew they weren't gonna go Villa, so we just kept it up. Just made it easier, I guess.
All right. Well, hey, you know what? I do appreciate your candor. I can't say that very much. And very playoffs mentalities. You guys are the first T3 team to make it into playoffs, the third in SCS so far. So, anything you want to say to the people watching? You know, maybe to Surf, who I imagine, you know, assuming we'll probably be there alongside you guys as well. Anything you want to say to everybody who watched the match and is going to see you in playoffs?
I mean, hopefully we continue to win, and hopefully we'll make it to grand finals. And then when we do, we'll win that. But yeah.
All right. Well,
I appreciate you all boosting my stats.
Glad to see you not getting ahead of yourself. Thank you as always, Gunner, for I don't really know the words of some dogfighting. We'll say that. So trying to go with something. But thank you very much, Gunner. Always a pleasure talking to you. And have a good night. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
A modern poet.
That's one way of putting it. That's one way of putting it.
Listen, he doesn't mince words.
He does not mince words. In fact, so much so, I could not come up with the word I was looking for. And what you could call that. I guess trash talk would probably just be the simplest way of putting it. But Gunner always very honest with his beliefs and very confident.
Mm.
So, thank you to Sean for the interview as always. And if you want to take a look overall, start recapping the day overall, because Harrison, not only do we have some statistics, also, let's just get this out of the way right now. We have a play of the day. I'm not getting to it just yet. It's going to be a little bit later on. What do you think it was? Because, I mean, oh wait, I'm stupid. I know exactly what it was. There was like only one true play of the day. Of course, sponsored by Mike and Ike's, you can see. Fruity, chewy candy that will always help you power up your game. Maybe not give you, I don't think anything except, I don't know, maybe being invested with divine power could give you confidence like Gunner's, but it was something. But yeah, I was going to say, it's silence 1v4. It literally can't be anything.
Oh, yeah. This was really cool because it was not just Silent, you know, having the gun skill that we know Silent has. It was also the utility play, right? The fire delaying for so long, causing the attack to get frantic. Silent's gas grenade, the last, or rather, I guess his second one there, forcing Gomez off the plant and to rotate into the middle of the room. And that forced rotate was just perfect timing, really. There was kind of a why are you sprinting beastly moment there. But yeah, those two lining up, and then I mean the two last players giving him ones. As now we can take a look before the total statistics, we can take a look at our match specific statistics. And well, Sweater dropped back-to-back 16 bombs. So there's that. He went what did he go in map 1?
Is it 32 and 12?
He went 16 and 7. Yeah, he went 32 and 12.
So yeah, that's kind of a good score line. But again, it was another situation where I would say, well, definitely for Mystic through and through, everyone, I would say it's a little bit more skewed this match, but everyone on Mystic still putting up a comparable effort throughout.
Because at least on Coastline, the bottom of the leaderboard was still like even. But
for KARN & Co as well, one thing I remarked was that, well, specifically pointing out the entries, but also in the stats overall, you know, maybe they weren't the best, but they were all relatively even. Here it is a little bit slanted, especially towards Mikey and KARN, who, Mikey, we mentioned, has been really heating up.
Mikey dropped double!
Yeah, heating up the past couple weeks, and that was something that we were very much searching and praying for in CL and never really found an answer for. But here, he's thankfully heating up, but unfortunately here it came at the cost of a 2-0. KARN as well, also having a good game, but yeah, definitely map 2, as evidenced by the scoreline, as evidenced by Mystic and Gunner's confidence. Definitely a little bit more one-sided as opposed to the previous, but it is what it is. Their playoff hopes are still alive, so it's not all done and dusted yet.
they still have to play against the winner of IF and Okami, right?
Not sure.
I think I'm right.
Oh, sorry. Wait, you mean you win last week? Yes, it was against Okami.
Yeah, okay. So KARN & Co. play the winner of IF and Okami. I was right. Ooh.
Well, what?
I feel like IF probably win that and then probably beat KARN & Co.
I imagine IF will make playoffs. I'd be surprised if they did. They're down 0-1 right now, but they lost to Mystic, who are in playoffs off of a 2-0. So, the loss is kind of aging well. I'd imagine IF are in playoffs, so whatever matchups come next, sorry, you know how I'm predicting. You get You
Yeah,
get
me
a
too.
peek into that. But I'm just buying into the Eye of Hype train. I don't know if you are, Harrison. I am personally. I'm a big fan of
Yes.
that team. I've grown to love them over the course of CL. Definitely, I would say,
Arrow.
I want to say most improved is a bit of a misnomer because they were always kind of a top 4 contender in CL, but just like the quality of their finishes has increased as the stages have gone on. I'm a big fan. And like Arrow, as you said. But Arrow's low hanging
Tyler.
fruit, in my opinion. Everyone loves Arrow.
Tyler Arrow. What a wholesome guy. But
He's a very awesome guy. Still waiting on global statistics to show you, but also Harrison.
yeah, we can see Sweater go 32-12 and find out how high his rating was.
We did the math for you there. That was pretty impressive as far
We
as I'm
did.
concerned.
Stats people, I hope you got that one down. That was all us.
Hope you could do 16 times too. I know it's a struggle for all of us sometimes. I was struggling to do math or spell earlier, so it happens to the best of us. But of course, before we go tonight, again, want to shout out to Mike and Ike just once again before we turn things off, before we cool it down for day number 2 for week number 2. Again, as always, they sponsor our sweet play of the day. Always appreciate it because we get to see a nice play once again, or in the case of an in-control game a couple weeks ago, just somebody sit below a hole in the floor for 5 minutes. Sometimes the quality of the play differs, but Mike and Ike's commitment to SCS Season 6 and NerdStreet overall is something we can always appreciate, even if our level and our love of candy it sometimes varies in between the towns. So thank you very much, and to Mavix Gaming Chairs as well. Remember, go to mavix.com/nerdstreet, use code NSG55 to get $55 off the purchase of a chair with air conditioning. I still can't believe
That's really cool.
How does that work, by the way? Like AC's kind of like big.
Yeah,
and, like,
do you plug in
wired.
the chair?
Do you charge the chair? Do you
That'd be
plug it into a
pretty
wall
funny.
outlet?
I think that'd be pretty funny.
As you can see.
Oh,
yeah.
we can stop talking about chairs now. Wow. 1.78. Damn.
Oh, nothing below a 62% cost over the entire team as well.
That's impressive. Mystic all around today. We're
about
impressive.
where you wanna be.
Sweater even had a plant. Look at him go.
I forgot he planted.
Yeah, look at him go. Actually, wait. Let me find the exact. He planted on round 2, on the cash round there. That was the first attack they won on Clubhouse. Sweater planted.
Well, he can
Maybe
really
Gunner too. 20-12.
He can really do it all, can he?
He can. The only person positive on Karnico is Mikey.
Good job, Mikey. Give you a high five for that. Again, unfortunately, there for Mikey, it just kind of gets progressively worse as the stats go on for Karnico. So it wasn't a good turn. But again, I want to emphasize, might be a little bit negative. The playoff dreams are still alive, and I still would not be surprised if they make playoffs, but it's going to be a difficult fight, especially considering that KARN and Co. are in one of the more difficult groups in SCS. Maybe not the most difficult, but still one that is difficult, or can be difficult, to fight out of, depending on how
What the
things
most
go.
difficult groups are?
In my opinion, it was Group D.
The
But what
one
do you-
Mystic's in and the one Surf is in.
So Group D and Group C. So yes.
Yeah.
But that's it, Harrison. Well
That's
done.
it. We're done.
Thank you
That's
all.
it.
Thank you all for watching.
There's no
Appreciate-
more.
Well, there is more. There's actually tomorrow if you want to watch it.
I meant
Yeah.
today.
Yes, that's all today. But we do have matchups tomorrow at the same time, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. PST, and do the conversions as you wish. But I have been Lynx, joined by Harrison, and we won't see you, but SCS will see you tomorrow when you tune in for day number 3 of week number 2. Have a good night.